Chapter 530. 2 days later, there was a reply from the Netherworld sect. The sect master and the grand elders all agreed to the agreement between Wang Daoyuan and Gu Wangzong. In the future, the Netherworld sect supplies would be directly sent to Qingli City by large cargo flying boats. Both sides completed the transfer of supplies in Qingli City. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. When did the Netherworld sect do things so happily? The Netherworld sect cultivators guarding the shops in the various markets had all received the notice and were ready to hand over the shops. The cultivators of the business department of the finance department also rushed to the various markets to take over the Netherworld sect shops. These shops were not worth a single spirit stone in their hands, and they had to spend manpower and resources to protect them. Wang Daoyuan announced to the public that the shops in the various markets could be rented out, and rogue cultivators and families could come and rent them. The cultivators under the administration of the administrator's mansion would also reward the shops if they made great contributions. Only the shops with people doing business were valuable, whether it was rented out for rent or rewarded. As long as someone was doing business, the tax would not run away. These matters were managed by the finance department, so he did not need to worry about it. He did not go to Zhou Wan's place, as it would affect his cultivation too much. Fortunately, he had refined the spiritual fire and had enough spiritual power to nourish his 5 internal organs. Otherwise, his small body would not be able to bear it. Although the human race's reproduction speed was far faster than the divine beasts and many demon races, the higher the cultivation, the more difficult it was to give birth to children. Of course, there were gains and losses. Generally speaking, the higher the cultivation, the higher the probability of the offspring having spiritual roots, and the more talented the offspring with spiritual roots would be. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were both golden core cultivators, and it was not easy to give birth to children. If they did not struggle for 8 to 10 years, it would probably be impossible. In the future, he had to find a brilliant dual cultivation secret method to cultivate and give birth to children. He left Qingli City and came to Qingyun Peak. Qingyun Peak was now the second core of the Wang family on the surface, only 300 to 400 miles away from Qingli City. In order to save time and transportation costs, most of the family's pills, talismans, and magic weapons were refined here, and then directly transported to Qingli City. Furthermore, the territory of the Blue Cloud Peak was much larger than that of the Jade Spring Peak. Therefore, there were many cultivators and ordinary clansmen living here. Wang Daoyuan had stayed here for a few years when he first took back the Blue Cloud Peak. Since there was a cave abode here, he could use it to improve his attainments in array formations. When he arrived at Qingyun Peak, he found that Zhao Liang and little uncle Wang Shouja were also there. The two of them brought half of the cultivators from the Artifact Forging Hall and the Array Formation Hall to refine a Tier 3 low-grade flying warship. Back when Wang Daoyuan was forging the flying warship in the Underworld sect, he had his doppelganger record the forging methods of all the components of the warship. He had already handed these things over to his family. Zhao Liang and Wang Shouja were not trying to cross the river by feeling their way around. After the two of them reached the 3rd level in refining and array formation, they began to find time to refine some of the flying warship side plates, ribs, and other non-core components. Now, the Wang family did not lack 3rd-tier lower-grade materials. Apart from the miscellaneous refining materials they had obtained from doing business with the Green Willow Island, they also had the iron steel Oregon. There was also the star steel vein in the Golden Tiger Mountain. If they dug deeper, they would often find low-grade Tier 3 star steel ores. Although they did not accumulate much 3rd-tier lower-grade star steel, it was still enough to refine a few flying warships. Zhao Liang and Wang Shouja had refined many flying warships over the years and cooperated quite well. With rich experience in the forging methods given by Wang Daoyuan, the two of them were able to refine the core of the flying warship, but the chances of failure were a bit high. Star steel could be reforged many times, so it did not matter if it failed. Even if it could not be used to refine the core components, it could be used to refine ordinary components. The most troublesome thing for the two of them was the dragon bone. Although the core components were more complicated, they could be divided into many parts and refined separately, so the difficulty was relatively low. The dragon bone was a whole and needed to be formed in one go. For the two of them it was very difficult. Since Wang Daoyuan was here, they naturally would not let go of this opportunity to ask for advice. Since there were more than a dozen 2nd-tier refiners and array masters here, Wang Daoyuan taught them how to refine the dragon bone on the spot. Refining the dragon bone was also helpful to improve the level of array masters, so Wang Daoyuan simply demonstrated how to refine it on the spot. With his early golden core cultivation base, coupled with the strength of his divine sense that surpassed his peers, refining a third-tier lower-grade dragon bone was no pressure at all. If he really wanted to pursue speed, he could refine the entire dragon bone in a day or two. Of course, his goal was to show the refining method to the family's disciples, not just to pursue speed. It took half a month to refine a single dragon bone, so the clansmen could clearly see every step of the process. Then, he let Zhao Liang and Wang Shouja start refining. Wang Daoyuan guided them from the side and explained the key points of every step to the younger generation. After more than 20 days, the two of them finally worked together to refine a dragon bone. Now that they had 2 dragon bones, they could refine 2 flying warships, enough to keep them busy for a few years. Wang Daoyuan no longer cared about them and returned to his cave abode to improve the level of array masters. Ordinary array masters improved the level of array masters by finding a piece of material and trying to inscribe a higher level array pattern. However, Wang Daoyuan did not want to waste time. There was no essential difference between a third-tier lower grade and a third-tier middle-grade array master, and the difference in array patterns was also very small. A third-tier middle-grade array master only consumed more divine sense when inscribing array patterns. With his cultivation base and divine sense, this was not a problem. He chose to refine a third-tier middle-grade flying warship directly. Not only could he improve the level of refining an array masters, but he could also refine a flying warship to strengthen the family. The material was also easy to solve. He just needed to use a third-tier lower-grade star steel. A third-tier lower-grade material could be used to refine a third-tier middle-grade artifact, but the requirements for the tool pattern were higher. This was a piece of cake. Any third-tier middle-grade artifact master with a bit of skill could do it. He took some star steel from Zhao Liang and tried to refine the core component of the flying warship. Previously, he had refined a 4th-tier life-bound artifact, the Kirin seal. The requirements for a life-bound artifact were not high. This was because the most difficult part of refining was inscribing the tool pattern. Once there was a major mistake in the tool pattern, the artifact would be wasted. And the tool pattern of a life-bound artifact was condensed with the power of divine sense. If there was a mistake, it could be redone. No matter how many times it was repeated, it would not affect the artifact itself. As long as he could temper the materials and forge the artifact into shape, there was no possibility of failure when refining a life-bound artifact. It was only a temporary failure. Previously, when refining life-bound artifacts, he had also accumulated a lot of valuable experience. Refining a third-tier middle-grade artifact was not difficult at all. Wang Daoyuan tried a few times, but he only succeeded in crafting a core component of the flying warship. After that, he used more than a year to refine a third-tier middle-grade flying warship. His level of array formation also steadily rose to third-tier middle-grade. Zhao Liang and Wang Shouja also successfully refined a third-tier lower-grade flying warship. Since the flying warship was successfully refined, it naturally had to do some flight tests. This thing could not be hidden from others. Soon, the news that the Wang family had built a flying warship was known by the underworld sect. Luo Jiuyo, that guy, worked hard to suppress Gu Wangzong. When he encountered a difficult problem, he would throw it to Gu Wangzong. This time, he came to question Wang Daoyuan again why he violated the underworld sect's ban and privately built a flying warship. Wang Daoyuan had already thought of an excuse. Luo Jiuyo had released all the restrictions on flying warships, which naturally included the restrictions on modification. When Gu Wangzong came to question him, Wang Daoyuan refuted righteously, "How can you accuse me based on nothing?" The sect master made a promise to release all the restrictions on flying warships. What's wrong with me modifying it? I modified it based on the flying warship. This is clearly a combat flying warship. How can you say it's a flying warship? Gu Wangzong was also speechless. Everyone knew that the flying warship was modified based on the flying warship. There was a flaw in Luo Jiuyo's promise that Wang Daoyuan caught. There was no way to reason with him. Chapter 531. Gu Wangzong held back for a long time before he forced a smile and said, "Administrator, you should limit them more or less. If you want to refine flying warships without any restrictions, the sect will have no choice but to take action." Wang Daoyuan didn't want to confront the Netherworld sect either. Although the Netherworld sect didn't dare to deal with him openly, their ability to play tricks and trip him up was still very strong. If they really fought behind the scenes, the administrator's mansion wouldn't be able to outlast the Netherworld sect. Wang Daoyuan didn't want to secretly backstab the Netherworld sect all day long. He wanted to boil the frog in warm water and slowly get rid of the Netherworld sect. Compared to the Luo family, Gu Wangzong could be said to be one of the few honest people in the local branch. As an honest person, Wang Daoyuan knew him very well. The flying warships refined by the Wang family had already crossed the bottom line of the Netherworld sect. Since he had said so, he had to make some concessions. Wang Daoyuan asked with a smile, "How do you want to limit it, Vice Sect Master? Do you want to limit the number, size, and speed?" Sect Master said before that there are no restrictions on flying warships. "Isn't a flying warship also a flying warship?" Gu Wangzong replied, "Every time the Wang family refines 2 combat airships, they must sell one to the sect at the price of 400,000 spirit stones each." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Selling 1 warship to the sect for every 2 warships refined is no problem, but the price is not appropriate. The raw material cost of a 3rd-rank low-grade flying warship is more than 200,000 spirit stones. It takes a 3rd-rank array master and a 3rd-rank craftsman to inscribe array patterns and tool patterns on a flying warship for 2 years. If you ask them to refine ordinary 3rd-rank magic tools and array discs, they can earn at least 300,000 spirit stones in 2 years. Adding the tempering materials and forging work, the labor cost is close to 400,000 spirit stones. A flying warship can only be sold for 600,000 spirit stones to ensure that it won't suffer a loss. According to the price you gave, I have to pay 200,000 spirit stones for refining 2 warships?" Gu Wangzong ridiculed, "Administrator, you're talking about the price of a flying warship. I thought the flying warship was different. How does the administrator intend to sell it? Give me the details." Wang Daoyuan was thick-skinned and didn't care about the sarcasm in the slightest. He replied, "The cost of a flying battleship isn't lower than a flying battleship. Each one costs at least 600,000 spirit stones. Furthermore, my Wang family is lacking in manpower, and we don't have many Tier 3 materials, so it's impossible for us to refine them in large quantities. How about this? I can sell the flying ships to the sect at a cost price of 600,000 spirit stones per ship. However, there were 2 conditions. First, the Wang clan had to have more than 10 combat airships before they could start selling them. Secondly, the sect wants to sell our Wang family Tier 3 crafting materials, but the Wang family's Tier 3 crafting materials are not enough. If you agree, then there's no problem. If you don't, then there's nothing I can do." Gu Wangzong thought for a while and said, "There's no problem with the first condition. The price is fair. As for the second condition, the sect is very strict with the 3rd-tier refining materials, so I don't dare to make the decision. I need to return to the sect and discuss this matter with the sect leader and the Grand Elders." Wang Daoyuan did not expect the Netherworld sect to agree to the second condition. After all, these local guys were not fools. If the Wang family was given enough Tier 3 crafting materials, then it would really be difficult to restrict the Wang family. The Tier 3 mineral veins in the entire Zhao country had long been controlled by the 3 major sections. The Wang family developed the Fallen Dragon Ridge and did not find any Tier 3 mineral veins. Now they could only rely on the Green Willow Island and Shanbei to obtain sporadic Tier 3 materials. These sporadic materials were not a problem to refine ordinary magic tools, but it was really not enough to refine a large magic tool like the flying warship. The Wang family did not have enough materials to refine 10 flying warships in a short time, so the Netherworld sect could drag it out first. Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry. The number of Tier 3 craftsmen and array masters in his family was seriously insufficient. It would take at least 10 or 20 years to refine 10 flying warships, so he was not in a hurry for the time being. This negotiation did not have any specific results. It was just a mutual declaration. Both sides knew in their hearts that there would be no conflicts in the future. After chatting for a while, Gu Wangzong left. Wang Daoyuan also returned to the Clear Sky Peak and continued to study arrays. The 2 flying warships had been tested and there were no problems in all aspects. The only thing left was to install some offensive and defensive magic tools. Wang Daoyuan had a crafting legacy in his hands, but he did not have enough crafting materials. Especially for the magic tools installed on the flying warships, most of the materials were strange. Rather than wasting effort to collect materials, it was better to buy them from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. With his status as a guest elder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Lei Yen Zhenren's disciple, It was not a problem for the Wang family to get some discounts. There was no need for him to do this. He could just let Zhao Liang do it. Refining the flying warships was the most cost-effective way to practice arrays. There were still some Tier 3 materials. During the Golden Core ceremony, the Divine Weapon Pavilion gave him 5,000 caddies of Tier 3 materials. These materials were definitely not enough to refine an entire high-grade Tier 3 flying warship. But it was more than enough to refine the dragon bones and the core of the warship. Master should have guessed that he would refine the flying warships, so these materials were all non-elemental. As for the ship's ribs, side plates, and the like, they could do without Tier 3 materials. Using Tier 3 materials to refine a Tier 3 upper magic tool was the limit of crafting. Even Tier 4 craftsmen did not have full confidence. Wang Daoyuan did not have that confidence. Using the smelting method to refine the essence of Tier 3 upper materials and fuse it into Tier 3 lower star steel could make its strength reach the level of Tier 3 middle materials. It would not be difficult to refine a high-grade Tier 3 magic artifact with middle-grade Tier 3 materials. When he went out to travel, he collected a lot of Tier 3 upper materials. His family had done business with the Oasis for more than 100 years and had collected some. To refine a Tier 3 upper flying warship, he could still barely gather the materials. However, Wang Daoyuan did not rashly start refining the flying warship. After all, his crafting level was still a little short of Tier 3 upper. First, he used those materials that were not suitable for refining the flying warship. He could refine some magic tools first. His divine sense was strong enough, and his foundation was solid enough. In a month's time, he successfully refined a Tier 3 upper magic tool. After another half a year of practice, he could use Tier 2 middle materials to refine a Tier 2 upper magic tool. Then, it was time to refine the warship core. The Tier 3 upper material given by the Divine Weapon Pavilion was called Silver Light Mysterious Iron, which was also a non-elemental material. It was best to use non-elemental materials to refine the core and dragon bones of the flying warship. A flying warship refined in this way could be matched with a magic tool of the 5 elements. Otherwise, the set of offensive and defensive magic tools would be relatively simple. For example, a flying warship refined with blood fire hibiscus could only be equipped with a fire attribute magic tool. When encountering a water attribute cultivator of the same level, it would be completely suppressed. The strength of the Silver Light Mysterious Iron was still very high, and could be directly used to refine offensive and defensive magic tools. If he could completely use this thing to refine a flying warship, it would not be a problem to fight against several peak Zifu realm cultivators. It was just that the cost was too high. Wang Daoyuan did not care about this and directly started refining the flying warship core. After using a month's time, he finally succeeded in refining a core component. This also meant that his formation skills had reached Tier 3 upper. After that, he used 2 years to refine a 30-meter-long third-grade flying warship. After testing, there was no problem with this flying warship. If it was equipped with offensive and defensive magic tools, it could definitely fight a peak Zifu realm cultivator head-on. If he was not afraid of using up spirit stones, its speed could also reach 6,000 miles in 2 hours, which was faster than most peak Zifu realm cultivators flying on their swords. Wang Daoyuan's formation skills had reached Tier 3 upper. He could set up a Tier 3 upper, spirit nurturing formation. With the spirit nurturing formation, he could fuse sufficient spirit vein origin into the spirit vein. After nourishing it for a period of time, it would be possible to upgrade the spirit vein. Chapter 532. As long as there was a third-rank upper-grade formation master, it would not be difficult to set up the spirit nurturing formation. However, the source of the spirit vein was difficult to find. To restore the Jade Spring Peak spirit vein to the 4th-rank lower grade, one would need to find a 4th-rank water attribute spirit vein. Currently, there were no 4th-rank spirit veins in South Yen County. There were many 4th-rank spirit veins in North Mountain, Sky Beheading Mountain Range, and Huiyan Mountain Range, but they were all owned. For example, there was a 4th-rank middle-grade spirit vein in the Netherworld sect's Netherwater River. Wang Daoyuan wanted to dig up the spirit vein in the Netherworld sect, but the Netherworld sect would not agree. There were only 2 4th-rank water attribute spirit veins in the vicinity. One was the Wan Chuan River. If he dared to go to the bottom of the river to extract the source of the spirit vein, he would be besieged. He would definitely be besieged by the 4th-rank aquatic demonic beasts, and it would be difficult for him to come out alive. The other was the Gue Water Nether Spring. Although the Gue Water Nether Spring's spirit energy was heavy, it was still a 4th-rank spirit spring, and a 4th-rank middle-grade spirit spring. The underground spirit vein that the Gue Water Nether Spring belonged to was at least 100 miles long. This scale was not much smaller than the Jade Spring Peak spirit vein. The scale and grade were not bad. The only flaw was that the source of the spirit vein contained Yin Qi. If it was directly integrated into the Jade Spring Peak spirit vein, the spirit energy produced by the spirit vein would contain some Yin Qi. This Yin Qi could gradually disappear, or it could always exist. With the dense Yin Qi, clansmen with lower cultivation would not be able to cultivate there. It would be best to use the Scarlet Yang True Fire to dissolve the Yin Qi. This way, a part of the spirit vein's source would be consumed. To extract the source of the spirit vein, one not only had to look at the grade of the spirit vein, but also the scale of the spirit vein. The grade of the spirit vein determined the quality of the spirit vein source, and the scale of the spirit vein determined its quantity. In terms of grade of spirit vein, Wang Daoyuan carried 5 4th-rank lower-grade spirit veins with him. The water attribute spirit vein in the space of the spirit pearl was of sufficient grade, but it was only a few dozen feet long. Even if he squeezed it dry, the water attribute spirit vein source was far from enough to upgrade the spirit vein of the Jade Spring Peak. Ever since the spirit pearl was repaired, the spirit vein's growth rate had increased rapidly. In just a few short years, the 5 spirit veins were already close to the mid-grade of the 4th stage, and their lengths had already exceeded 50 feet. Currently, Wang Daoyuan didn't have any Tier 4 phase that could increase his cultivation level, nor did he have a Tier 4 spirit vein for him to cultivate. Usually, when he cultivated, the spiritual energy in the outside world was insufficient. In order not to affect the speed of his cultivation, he took out some from the space in the spiritual pearl. The surroundings of the 5 spirit veins also changed greatly. The corpse of the jade-scaled flood dragon had already disappeared, completely merging with the wood-attributed spirit veins. Now, the spiritual qi produced by the wood-attribute spiritual vein should have a trace of dragon qi. Wang Daoyuan couldn't sense the dragon qi directly, but the jade dragon algae beside him grew extremely lush, and a few of them had broken through to the 2nd stage. The Qing river carps in the fish pond also liked to lean towards the wood-attribute spirit vein. Based on this, he guessed that there should be some dragon qi there. The amount of water in the spirit spring in the water-attributed spirit vein had also increased. The spirit spring water that was born when he first found all 5 elements spiritual fires was very little at the beginning, and it would take 7 or 8 minutes to fill up a teacup. Now, the amount of water that gushed out in one breath could fill up a teacup. The mound near the earth-attributed spirit vein was now more than 5 feet in diameter. And the mound had begun to transform into rock, and now it looked between soil and rock. In the future, this mound might really become a mountain. Around the metal-attributed spirit vein, a small stone also appeared. This stone wasn't big, and the part that was exposed to the ground was only more than a foot long, more than 7 inches tall, and only 3 inches wide. The stone contained some kind of metallic substance that looked like ore. Near the fire-attributed spirit vein, the change was the smallest. Only under the Scarlet Sun primordial fire subfire, a bowl-sized lava lake appeared. The grade of the spirit vein was high enough, and the spiritual energy was rich. The growth of the 5-element spiritual fire subfire was also extremely fast. The life spiritual fire subfire had already reached Tier 3 superior grade, and the other 4 subfires were also Tier 3 middle grade. The area of the spiritual pearl space had also grown much faster, and now it had exceeded 43 mu. Now that the area of the spirit field had grown, not only did the edges of the space grow, but the interior was also changing. Wang Daoyuan also discovered this by observing the distance between the 5 subfires. In the past, the position of the dust-returning flame subfire was 50 feet away from the other 4 subfires. Now that the distance had become 50 feet and a half inches, this meant that the spirit field in the spiritual pearl space was expanding in all directions with the earth-attributed spirit vein as the center. After Wang Daoyuan passed the golden core heavenly tribulation, there were more gifts from heaven and earth, and some of them were drawn into the spiritual pearl space. The spirit plants in the space also had a lot of harvest. Ordinary spirit plants didn't absorb too much, and there were no obvious changes. A few special spirit plants absorbed a lot of golden energy, and the changes were also very obvious. The peach tree sapling had grown to more than a foot tall, and its grade had also reached Tier 4 inferior grade. Also reaching Tier 4 inferior grade with the largest blood fire hibiscus and yellow spring willow. When exploring True Lord 100 Spirits Cave, he cut off a few tender branches of the hidden cloud tea tree and planted them near the life spiritual fire. 3 of them survived, and now they were more than a foot tall and tier 4 inferior grade. There were also some spirit plants that advanced to tier 3, such as the Foundation Establishment Pill's main ingredient, the Shenyuan fruit tree. The earliest Shenyuan gourd vines that were planted finally grew to tier 3 inferior grade. Wang Daoyuan wanted to let the Shenyuan gourd vines grow a little more, so he planted a few gourd vines near each spiritual fire to see if they could bear a single attribute gourd. The red-feathered crow's natal feather had completely grown out, and its cultivation had already reached the limit of tier 3. Not long ago, it fell into a deep sleep, and it might be about to break through. Mythical beasts and demonic beasts also had to undergo tribulation when they reached tier 4, but the intensity of the tribulation was different for different species. If it transformed, it would have to undergo a transformation tribulation. There were many types of demonic beasts, and different types had different tribulations. Some demonic beasts might undergo a breakthrough tribulation together with a transformation tribulation, but the bloodline of mythical beasts generally wouldn't do so together. In any case, the red-feathered crow couldn't escape from this tribulation. It had been staying in the spiritual pearl space, and he didn't know if there would be a lightning tribulation. What surprised Wang Daoyuan the most was that the flow of time in the spiritual pearl space had changed again. Now it was not like before, where the flow of time directly doubled, but slowly accelerated. Now, the flow of time in the space was more than 40 times that of the outside world, but less than 41 times. Although the flow of time increased very slowly, it was a good thing that it could increase. Wang Daoyuan took out dozens of array discs that had not been inscribed with array patterns from the spiritual pearl space. This was to refine the array discs of the spirit nourishing array and the dragon locking array. The array to lock the spirit vein was very simple. The 5 elements dragon locking array on Fallen Dragon Ridge's Jade Pine Mountain could be used to lock the spirit vein. It was just that the extracted spirit vein's origin couldn't be stored for a long time. Without the spirit nourishing array, extracting the spirit vein's origin was useless. Therefore, Wang Daoyuan hadn't extracted the spirit vein's origin before. Now that he could refine the spirit nourishing array, he could extract the spirit vein's origin. However, integrating the spirit vein's origin into the spirit vein was not foolproof. The spirit vein of the Jade Spring Peak was the foundation of the ancestors and couldn't be touched lightly. It was better to find other spirit veins to practice. After refining the 5 elements dragon locking array and the spirit nourishing array, Wang Daoyuan left the Blue Cloud Peak and secretly went to the Spirit Spring Cave abode at the foot of the Mirror Iron Mountain. He planned to extract a small amount of the water attribute spirit vein's origin from the spiritual pearl space and test it out by integrating it into the Jade Butterfly Spring. The spirit vein in the spiritual pearl space grew very quickly. Extracting a little of the spirit vein's origin should be able to recover quickly. The Jade Butterfly Spring was only a low-grade Tier 2 spirit spring. If he integrated a little of the Tier 4 spirit vein's origin, as long as the integration was successful, its grade would definitely increase significantly. Even if he failed, it would at most cause some damage to the Jade Butterfly Spring, and it wouldn't be an unbearable loss. Chapter 533. Wang Daoyuan used the Earth Escape technique and arrived at the Spirit Spring Cave abode. There was a member of the Tong generation guarding the cave abode. When he saw him, he immediately bowed and called him Great-Grandpa. The way he called him Great-Grandpa made him very emotional. When he found the Spirit Spring Cave abode, he was only 20 years old. Now, even the juniors of the Tong generation could hold their own. There were also people of the Xian generation below him. He was now a true ancestor. Wang Daoyuan asked this junior to cultivate elsewhere for the time being. Then, he took out a formation plate and started to set up a spirit-nurturing formation around the Jade Butterfly Spring. At the same time, his clone Cui Ming set up the 5 elements dragon lock formation in the space of the spirit pearl to lock the water spirit vein and extract its origin. Wang Daoyuan sent the black tortoise shield into the space of the spirit pearl to store the extracted origin. The main material of the black tortoise shield was the spirit spring pearl, which was nurtured by the origin of the spirit vein. Using the black tortoise shield to store the origin of the spirit vein would allow it to be stored for a longer period of time. Extracting the origin of the spirit vein was not difficult. A day later, the water spirit vein in the space was almost degraded by the extraction. A colorless water droplet the size of a soybean appeared in the black tortoise shield. Then, he used a secret technique to break open the small spirit vein in the jade butterfly spring. The origin of the spirit vein began to dissipate. He took out the black tortoise shield and guided the colorless water droplet into the small spirit vein. At the same time, he activated the spirit nurturing formation. After the colorless water droplet left the black tortoise shield, it also dissipated rapidly. After entering the jade butterfly spring, most of the dissipated origin could still remain in the jade butterfly spring due to the restriction of the spirit nurturing formation. Wang Daoyuan used a secret technique to repair the spirit vein. The success rate of this secret technique was not high. Even a golden core cultivator was not confident of success. If the repair failed, the spirit vein would be severely damaged. The spirit vein in the jade butterfly spring was too small. It was not even as big as the water spirit vein in the space. Sealing the hole was not too difficult. Soon it was done. Wang Daoyuan could not help much. He could only keep changing the spirit stones on the formation plate to maintain the operation of the formation. 7 days later, the concentration of spirit qi in the jade butterfly spring began to increase. At this stage, there was no longer any risk of the spirit vein being destroyed. As for how far it could grow, that would depend on its luck. The jade butterfly spring's small spirit vein was small, and the spirit vein origin extracted from it was enough for him to advance to low-grade rank 3. After a month, the small spirit vein was upgraded to the 3rd level of the lower grade, and the spirit vein source that was fused with it was basically exhausted. He waited here for more than a month until the small spirit vein in the jade butterfly spring completely stabilized. Only then did he put away the spirit nurturing array disc. The current spirit spring abode was completely capable of supporting an initial stage Violet Palace Realm cultivator to cultivate here. Wang Daoyuan left the spirit spring cavern and returned to the jade spring peak to set up the spirit nurturing array. The jade spring peak spirit vein stretched for several hundred miles under the ground. With such a large spirit vein, it was simply unrealistic to rely on array discs to set up a spirit nurturing array. He still had to set up a formation core, connect it to the spirit vein, and set up a large-scale formation that could envelop the entire jade spring peak. The spirit nurturing array had a total of 30 ordinary array eyes and 1 core array eye. The core array core was naturally placed near the jade dragon spring, while the other array cores were distributed along the spirit vein. In order to keep this a secret, only Wang Daoyuan, second brother, and the 12th uncle knew about this. 5th great uncle had to take care of the affairs of the administrator's estate, and didn't have the time to care about this. If second brother knew about this matter, the entire South Swallow County would know about it in a few days. Since he wanted to keep it a secret, he naturally couldn't let others do it. He had to set up the entire formation himself. It took him half a year to finish setting up the formation. After setting up the spirit nurturing array, he could go to the Gue Water Nether Spring and extract the spirit vein source. The 12th uncle was guarding the Jade Spring Peak, and Wang Daoyuan had an unlimited supply of purple rhythm pills and 3rd-level hidden cloud tea. His cultivation progress was extremely fast. He was currently at the late-stage Violet Palace realm and wasn't far from the peak stage. When the 12th uncle formed his gold core, he could appoint him as the deputy administrator of the South Swallow County. Then, he would have enough time to go to Zhouwan's place and ponder about life. The spirit nurturing array had been set up. Before extracting the spirit vein source of the Gue Water Nether Spring, there was no rush. Wang Daoyuan ran to the North Mountain branch and discussed some things with Zhouwan in depth. After staying for more than a month, he left the underground branch and went to the Gue Water Nether Spring. Ordinary gold core cultivators were not afraid of the cold-in qi of the Gue Water Nether Spring, and there was no problem to go in directly. Wang Daoyuan had the 5-element spiritual fire to protect him, so he was even less afraid of this. It was just that he had consumed too much in the past month, so he was not in a hurry to enter the Gue Water Nether Spring. He first recovered outside for a few days. After that, he opened a small hole in the water storage space and used the Cloud Mist Escape to directly escape in. Wang Daoyuan's Cloud Mist Escape had reached the level of being able to turn into mist. When he used the Cloud Mist Escape, his body merged with the clouds and mist, and he could easily pass through gaps that were much smaller than his body. It was just that this state put a lot of pressure on the body and couldn't be maintained for a long time. When he used the Cloud Mist Escape in the water, he could naturally merge with the water and enter the Gue Water Nether Spring through the previously dug water storage space and water channel. In this thousands of feet deep underground, it was too difficult to lock a spiritual vein that was more than 100 miles long. If he was not careful, he could let the Netherworld sect completely bid farewell to the Yin Qi. Extracting the origin of the spiritual vein could only lock a part of the spiritual vein. It was just that in this way, the damage to the spiritual vein was relatively great. However, Wang Daoyuan didn't care. The Gue water nether spring was seriously damaged, and it was the Netherworld sect and the Shenin market that were cheated. It had nothing to do with him. Moreover, this damage was not permanent. It could still be recovered in time. He used the cloud mist escape, through the underground water vein, drilled to the vicinity of the spiritual vein in various places, and set up the array disk. The core array disk was placed near the spring eye. The array disk was placed in various water veins. It was not realistic to replace the spirit stones, so he simply connected the array disk to the spiritual vein. After setting up all the array disks, he activated the 5 elements dragon lock formation and locked a section of the spiritual vein that was more than 10 miles long. He extracted the origin of the spiritual vein from the spring eye, but these spiritual veins were all black. This was different from the water spiritual vein in the space. Although that water spiritual vein also gave birth to a black spiritual spring with Yin Qi, the spiritual vein was still a normal water spiritual vein. The spiritual vein of the Gue water nether spring had a large amount of Yin Qi, and the Yin Qi in the origin of the spiritual vein was extremely heavy. Wang Daoyuan stored all the extracted origin of the spiritual vein into the black tortoise shield. After staying here for more than half a month, the origin of the spiritual vein in the black tortoise shield had already accumulated into a black water ball with a diameter of more than a foot. The concentration of the spiritual qi in the Gue water nether spring had also dropped to the level of the 3rd level upper grade. This amount of origin was enough to upgrade the spiritual vein of the Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan closed the 5 elements dragon lock formation, but he did not take away the array disk. If the origin of the spiritual vein was not enough, it would be more convenient to come here to extract it. He escaped from the Gue water nether spring, sealed the hole that he dug, and left the karst cave. In order to save time and avoid using up too much of the spiritual vein's origin, he slightly concealed his figure and flew back to Mount Yen on his sword, heading straight for the Jade Spring Peak. When he was still more than 5,000 li away from the Jade Spring Peak, he sent a message to the 12th uncle and the 3rd brother, telling them to activate the Spirit Nurturing Formation and close the Mountain Protecting Formation. After arriving at the Jade Spring Peak, he went straight to the secret treasury under the Ancestral Temple. The escape passage at the bottom of the treasury was very close to the Jade Spring Peak spiritual vein. Wang Daoyuan came to the escape passage and first used the Scarlet Yang True Fire to refine the origin of the spiritual vein that he brought back. He removed the Yin Qi and consumed a quarter of the spiritual vein's origin. Then, he broke through the rock layer between the spiritual vein and the escape passage. Although the Jade Spring Peak spiritual vein was of the 3rd level upper grade, its foundation was still of the 4th level middle grade. After breaking through the rock layer, he saw the water blue crystal of the spiritual vein. Using a secret technique, he cut a 3-inch long gap in the crystal of the spiritual vein. A rich spiritual qi mixed with the spiritual vein's origin gushed out. At this time, the spiritual qi gushing out of the jade dragon spring rapidly weakened. The clansmen on the mountain were somewhat astonished. The 3rd brother comforted everyone according to the prepared speech. Wang Daoyuan immediately poured the refined spiritual vein's origin into the gap, and then sealed the gap. With too much spiritual qi gushing out, it was even more difficult to seal the gap. It took 3 days to seal the gap, and the concentration of spiritual qi outside no longer decreased. Chapter 534. Wang Daoyuan heaved a sigh of relief and once again sealed the stone wall between the spirit vein crystal and the escape route. He had done everything he could. What would happen next would depend on the luck of the spirit vein. After waiting for half a month, the density of spiritual qi in the spirit vein began to slowly increase. This time, he was completely relieved. The spirit vein of Jade Spring Peak wasn't damaged. Even if it couldn't break through to the 4th rank, it would at least be stronger than before. In fact, Jade Spring Peak spirit vein still had a foundation of the 4th rank. Even if it was left alone, it would recover to the 4th rank in a few thousand years. However, the Wang clan's current development speed was very fast, and they couldn't wait for a few thousand years. A Golden Core Realm clan without a 4th rank spirit vein was always a little lacking in confidence. In the following days, 3rd brother sent all the clan members who had nothing to do to other spirit veins to cultivate, so as not to disturb the spirit vein's advancement. The spirit vein essence of Jade Spring Peak was relatively large. After a month, the density of spiritual qi gushing out of the Jade Dragon Spring was still increasing. At this time, the density of spiritual qi had already reached the limit of the high grade of the 3rd rank, and it could become a low grade of the 4th rank at any time. However, the increasing density of spiritual qi showed no signs of slowing down. There was no longer any suspense as to whether Jade Spring Peak Spirit Vein could advance to the 4th rank. The only thing worth looking forward to was whether it could advance to the middle grade of the 4th rank. Sure enough, 3 days later, the spiritual qi produced by Jade Spring Peak Spirit Vein finally reached the low grade of the 4th rank. However, the spiritual qi still contained an extremely thin amount of pure yin qi. This kind of subtle change was impossible for cultivators below the Golden Core realm to detect. As long as the density of pure yin qi wasn't too high, it wouldn't cause any harm to the human body. The clan members had already begun to celebrate. With a 4th rank spirit vein, the other clan members would have a place to form their core. This was a true Golden Core realm clan. Another month passed, and the density of spiritual qi gushing out of the spirit vein no longer increased. Although Jade Spring Peak Spirit Vein hadn't grown to the middle grade of the 4th rank, it was almost there. It wouldn't be a problem for cultivators to form their core, and the scale of the spirit vein was large enough. With formations like spirit gathering formations, it wouldn't be a problem for late-stage Golden Core realm cultivators to cultivate. In addition, with Jade Spring Peak's unique location, it could completely recover to the middle grade of the 4th rank in the future, and there was no need to continue taking risks to merge with the spirit vein's origin. After the spirit vein stabilized, Wang Daoyuan removed the spirit nurturing array. The 3rd brother, Wang Daochang, was extremely happy. During his time as the clan head, the clan's spirit veins had recovered to the 4th level, and all Golden Core cultivators had been eliminated. No matter what, as the patriarch, he would be able to leave his mark in the history of the family. He took out tens of thousands of spirit stones worth of resources to reward all of his clansmen, and the entire Wang clan fell into a state of ecstasy. Some people were happy, while others were sad. In the mountain gate of the Netherworld sect, Luo Jiuyo, Gu Wangzong, and the 5 supreme elders gathered in a dark stone room underground. The sound of flowing water came from the bottom of the stone room. The walls of the stone room were engraved with dense array patterns. The 7 of them frowned. Luo Jiuyo let out a long sigh. The yin qi has decreased by 20%. It has been more than 2 months, but it still hasn't recovered. Grand Supreme Elder Zhong Zhenyang comforted everyone. It's not a big deal. It's not like the Darkwater River's yin qi hasn't fluctuated before. Over 100 years ago, there had even been cases where yin energy had completely disappeared. Didn't they reappear a few years later? This time, they might recover in a few years. There's no need to worry too much. Reducing the yin qi by 20% is just a matter of saving a little. If Wang Daoyuan heard this, he would definitely ridicule him. Too much of the spirit vein of the Gue Water Nether Spring had been extracted. It would take at least a few thousand years for it to recover to its original state. According to the speed of expansion of the Wang clan, even if they didn't fight head-on, it would only take a few hundred years to crush the Netherworld sect. How would they have time to wait for the yin qi to recover? On the Yuchuan Peak, everyone finished celebrating and began to busy themselves. Wang Daoyuan stayed in his cave and continued to study the Tao of Array. The Yuchuan Peak spirit vein had recovered to the 4th level, which was enough to support the Myriad Water Origin Array. With the Myriad Water Origin formation, the Wang clan would be able to survive the next beast tide. However, to set up the Myriad Water Origin Array, one would need at least a 4th level low-grade array master. Although he had the 4th level array inheritance left by the 5-element spiritual master, it would still take some time to really break through to the 4th level. In addition to studying the array, he also took the time to refine some bloodline pills. In addition to refining for Yun Yi, he also refined some with the blood essence of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. The 12th uncle's Qingjiang carp was also growing fast. Its cultivation was now about to reach the 2nd level high grade. The bloodline pills refined with the blood essence of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon could help it awaken its dragon bloodline and improve its cultivation. Since the last time he forced Yun Yi to lose weight, this guy had been avoiding him. Now, the Yuchuan Peak spirit vein had advanced. The 4th level water spirit vein was extremely attractive to any water attribute demon beast. In addition, Wang Daoyuan ordered the clansmen not to feed it barbecued meat. Yuan-yi, a guy with almost no willpower, obediently returned to the Yuchuan Peak. It stayed in Wang Daoyuan's cave, wanting to sell its dignity in exchange for barbecued meat. Unfortunately, Wang Daoyuan only fed it bloodline pills and told it that after breaking through to the 3rd level, it could eat barbecued meat at will. Before breaking through, it only had bloodline pills. Yuan-yi, who hadn't cultivated much, finally worked hard. After staying in the Yuchuan Peak for more than a month, Wang Daoyuan received a message from his 5th granduncle. Some powerful cultivators in the Qingli market had come to seek refuge, and his 5th granduncle didn't know how to deal with them. Wang Daoyuan let Yuan-yi continue to stay in the Yuchuan Peak to cultivate, while he rode a cloud to the Qingli market. His 5th granduncle received the cultivators who came to seek refuge in the meeting hall. After Wang Daoyuan walked into the meeting hall, he saw 11 late-stage and peak-stage foundation establishment cultivators in the room. He didn't restrain his aura. The group of foundation establishment cultivators bowed and said, "Greetings, Administrator." Only a young 8th-level foundation establishment cultivator directly knelt down and bowed. Grandnephew Wang Dezhao greets 7th granduncle. This young man was more than 8 feet tall, had a strong body, and had a simple and honest appearance. He gave people the feeling that he was a rash cultivator. However, the craftiness in his eyes inadvertently showed that this person was also a master who pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. Wang Daoyuan liked this kind of juniors. They wouldn't suffer any losses when they went out. He didn't really care about the clan's trivial matters. Among the cultivators in the clan, he could only recognize those of the Dao generation. After that, he only recognized foundation establishment cultivators. He knew all the foundation establishment cultivators in the clan, both on the surface and in the dark, but Wang Dezhao wasn't one of them. However, looking at his face, he did look somewhat familiar. He should be a descendant of the clan. Seeing that she didn't recognize this person, his 5th granduncle said with a smile, "Dezhao is your 4th brother's grandson, Daoqing. Just like you." He went out to make his way as soon as he reached the late stage of the aura refining realm. He hasn't returned home for several decades. I just verified that he's indeed Dezhao. Wang Daoyuan understood. No wonder he looked somewhat familiar. He indeed looked a bit like his 4th brother. He promptly helped Wang Dezhao up and said with a smile, "Quickly get up." When 9th granduncle was still alive, he hoped that one of his descendants could become a foundation establishment cultivator. But your grandfather and several other uncles weren't very talented. Now that I have you, 9th granduncle can smile in the underworld. I see that you're still young. You shouldn't be 100 years old yet, right? Wang Dezhao stood up and cupped his hands. Reporting to granduncle, "I'm not even 90 years old yet." Wang Daoyuan nodded in satisfaction. "Good. I've always been worried that there wouldn't be any outstanding figures among the younger generation. Now that I've met you, I don't have to worry anymore. What are the origins of these little friend of yours? Why did they come to seek refuge in the administrator's estate?" Wang Dezhao bowed and saluted. Reporting to granduncle, "These 10 Dao Yu are my companions who kill demonic beasts to earn resources with me. Ever since you proposed to the Netherworld sect that year that all forces were allowed to refine foundation building pills, the price of demonic beast cores skyrocketed. Many loose cultivators formed teams to hunt 3rd-rank demonic beasts. This is the kind of business that your grandson and these 10 fellow Taoists are doing. With the help of 3rd-rank formations and 3rd-rank magic tools, we can attack weaker 3rd-rank demonic beasts and take them down without paying too much of a price." Chapter 535. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual sense to scan the other 10 foundation building cultivators. These people all carried a strong murderous aura. They were all people who had experienced a lot of life and death situations. For such people to be able to live until the late stage of the foundation building realm, they either had heaven-defying luck or they had real skills. 11 late-stage and peak-stage foundation building cultivators with rich experience in fights of magical power, coupled with formations and 3rd-rank magic tools, it really wasn't difficult to kill an ordinary 3rd-rank low-grade demonic beast. An inner core used to be worth around 100,000 spirit stones, but it was hard to say what the current situation was. The corpse of a relatively large 3rd-rank low-grade demonic beast without an inner core could also be worth more than 400,000 spirit stones. The two added together could be worth 500,000 spirit stones. If there were no other losses, each person could earn more than 40,000 spirit stones. Even if this business was done once a year, it was still an extremely high income for foundation-building cultivators who weren't proficient in pill refining, tools, and talisman arrays. No one would do a losing business, but they would rush to do a killing business. As long as there were enough benefits, there were plenty of people who weren't afraid of death. Wang Daoyuan asked, "If you have this kind of livelihood, why are you willing to join my administrator's mansion?" The foundation-building cultivators of the administrator's mansion only earn a salary of more than 2,000 spirit stones a year. It can't compare to hunting third-rank demonic beasts. Wang Dezhao replied, "This bowl of rice isn't delicious. How can the weak fight the strong be absolutely safe? If you're not careful, magic tools and formation discs will be damaged. Third-rank magic tools aren't something that can be found on the street. If they're damaged, it'll be difficult to buy a suitable one. Without a suitable magic tool in hand, it's inevitable that there will be casualties. I've been doing this for more than 10 years, and every year, at least one or two of my companions have died in the hands of demonic beasts. Therefore, my companions and I want to join the administrator's mansion and find a job." Wang Daoyuan also wanted to accept these 10 people. They had extremely rich experience in hunting third-rank demonic beasts, and could provide the administrator's mansion with materials for foundation-building pills and third-rank refining materials. He could also let them lead the cultivators of the Guardian Hall to kill third-rank demonic beasts and accumulate experience in dealing with beast tides in the future. Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "I don't have any objections to taking you in, but it's a waste of your talents to make you the same as the other Guardian Hall cultivators. I plan to set up a monster execution division under the Hall of Guardians to recruit rogue cultivators like you. Third-level magic tools, medicinal pills, talismans, and formation plates will be provided by the administrator's mansion. There will also be flying warships to protect you. You can continue to hunt demonic beasts. While you're at it, help me train the other cultivators in the Guardian Hall and teach them how to fight against demonic beasts. After killing the demonic beast, the corpse, including the Niden, must be sold to the administrator's mansion at market price. The administrator's mansion would take 50% of the profits, and the rest would be distributed among the participating cultivators according to their contributions. What do you think?" The 10 rogue cultivators agreed to this suggestion without any hesitation. The conditions offered by Wang Daoyuan were too generous. Everything was covered by the administrator's mansion. As long as they didn't take the initiative to enter deep into the heavenly/mountain range to seek death, there would be almost no danger to their lives, and there wouldn't be any losses. With this condition, the administrator's mansion actually didn't have much profit except for the raw materials for the foundation establishment pill. However, what Wang Daoyuan wanted wasn't profit. Now, he could make a lot of money just by relying on the 2 trade routes of Green Willow Province and returning Wild Goose Market. What he lacked wasn't spirit stones, but people who could deal with third-rank demonic beasts. Seeing that they didn't have any objections, Wang Daoyuan ordered, "The Guardian Hall will set up a monster execution division under the Hall Master's personal jurisdiction. The daily treatment of cultivators in the monster execution division is the same as other cultivators. In the future, if they make great contributions, they will have the opportunity to obtain spirit veins and establish a clan. Fifth Granduncle, you can arrange them." Fifth Granduncle got up and was about to take them away. Wang Dezhao hurriedly said, "Reporting to Granduncle, I have one more thing to report. There's another reason we came to the administrator's mansion this time. We discovered an ancient cultivator's immortal's cave and obtained some things we have no use for. Therefore, we want to sell these things to the clan in exchange for some resources." The value of an ancient cultivator's immortal's cave was still extremely high. Even if the immortal's cultivation wasn't high, there might still be some inheritances from the distant past era or spiritual objects that were almost invisible in the outside world. Things taken from an ancient cultivator's immortal's cave were more or less useful. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Take them out and let me take a look. As long as they're useful, you won't be short of benefits." Hearing his guarantee, the 11 people's faces lit up with joy. A big man at the peak of foundation establishment took out several tattered animal skin pages from his storage pouch. Wang Daoyuan took the animal skin pages and examined them. He found that the things recorded inside were very miscellaneous. There were pill recipes, magic tool refining methods, and some cultivation methods and secret manuals. Not many of them were complete and had almost no practical value. They could only be used as a reference. He also didn't haggle with this group of juniors and said, These pages are 5,000 spirit stones each. Take out whatever you have left." Seeing that he offered a price, the others also took out the animal skin pages. In total there were more than 40 pages. Some people also took out tattered magic tools, but these things were really useless, so Wang Daoyuan didn't take them. In the end, Wang Dezhao took out a shriveled fruit and a complete animal skin book. This shriveled fruit was curled up into a ball, and its skin was purple gold. The spiritual qi in the fruit had already dissipated, and it was impossible to tell what grade of spiritual object it was. There were also 10 sesame-sized seeds inside. Wang Daoyuan took out the seeds and condensed a water ball in his hand, wrapping the shriveled fruit inside. Soon, the fruit was soaked and expanded to a diameter of more than 3 inches. This time, Wang Daoyuan recognized what it was. It was a 4th-grade low-grade spiritual fruit, purple gold chalcedony fruit. This was also the main ingredient for refining the purple gold essence cultivating pill. The chalcedony cultivating pill was a medicinal pill used by golden core cultivators to increase their cultivation. After the seeds of the purple gold chalcedony fruit were planted, it would take 1,000 years for it to bloom and bear fruit. After that, it would bear fruit once every 1,000 years. Even if the seeds were planted now, it would take 2,000 years for it to bear fruit. Even with the space of the spirit pearl, it would take close to 50 years. The other supplementary ingredients for the chalcedony cultivating pill were not difficult to find. With this purple gold chalcedony fruit, the other spirit herbs would be easy to find. As for the complete animal skin book, it was called the Heart Sutra of Clouds and Rain. Looking at the name, he really didn't know what it was. After flipping open the cover, it introduced the Heart Sutra of Clouds and Rain. This book was not a proper cultivation technique, but a dual cultivation secret technique. It was created by a golden core couple more than 30,000 years ago. This couple should be the owners of the cave abode. This couple was also a weirdo. Not only did they create a dual cultivation secret technique, there were even illustrations in the secret manual. Wang Daoyuan had seen all kinds of things in his previous life, so he was not affected at all when he saw these things. Putting away the animal skin book, he said, "This fruit is the purple gold chalcedony fruit, used to refine a 4th-grade medicinal pill. It's a pity that the fruit's medicinal effects are already gone, and I don't know if the seeds left behind can sprout. I'll give you 2,000 spirit stones for 1 seed. This animal skin book is a secret technique left behind by a golden core cultivator, so I'll give you 100,000 spirit stones." Hearing this, Wang Dezhao was overjoyed. He didn't expect to get 100,000 spirit stones so easily. After paying the spirit stones, 5th great-uncle brought them away. Wang Daoyuan sighed. This grandnephew of his really came at the right time. The 2 things he took out were both things he urgently needed at the moment. In addition, he was 9th great-uncle's great-great-grandson, so he had to nurture him well in the future. Reaching the 8th level of foundation establishment before the age of 90 was quite talented. It wouldn't take long for him to reach the peak of foundation establishment. With enough resources, he should be able to reach it before the age of 100. Wang Daoyuan sent a message to his 3rd brother to ask about Wang Dezhao's spirit root aptitude. He learned that this grandnephew of his was a cultivator with 2 spirit roots, and his main spirit root was an 8.5-inch fire spirit root. For the time being, there weren't any clansmen with high talent in the Ming generation. The best among them only had a 3.5-inch main spirit root, which was a 3.5-inch main spirit root. Wang Dezhao's cultivation talent was the highest in the generation. He could be given a chance to establish a purple palace in the future. Chapter 536. The seed of the purple gold chalcedony fruit was already over 30,000 years old. It was hard to say whether it could germinate or not. He scattered it near the peach tree saplings and left it to its own devices. The scattered pages were given to the various halls of the clan for reference. As for the Heart Sutra of Clouds and Rain, he made a copy and placed it in the clan's repository. As for the illustrations, he did not make a copy. The waters were too deep and the juniors would not be able to grasp them. The original copy was naturally kept in his hands. These things still needed to be improved upon through practice. After dealing with the matters here, Wang Daoyuan returned to Jade Spring Peak. In the past few years, the Blood Shadow headquarters did not make any more trouble. They did not change Zhou Wan's authority. The headquarters' attitude did not change. The two of them could carry out their plan to take over the Qingli branch. After forming his core, Wang Daoyuan's range of perception over his clones had increased to 5,000 kilometers. Recently, his cultivation had improved slightly, and his range of perception had increased as well. Sensing the situation in Guiyan market was no longer a problem, he controlled his clone to arrive at Zhou Wan's dwelling. Zhou Wan discovered that Lu Zong's clone was rather abnormal. She asked, "You've come to Guiyan market, but you didn't come personally. Why did you control a puppet to come over?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "I'm still staying at Jade Spring Peak. I can only control puppets from 5,000 kilometers away. There hasn't been much activity from the Blood Shadow headquarters in the past few years. We can make a move on the Qingli market now." Zhou Wan nodded. "It's also time to deal with Chen Zhonggong. In the past few years, I've sent some orders to the Qingli branch, but he's always been resisting. If we don't deal with him now, we won't be able to manage the Qingli branch anymore. Where do you plan on sending him?" Wang Daoyuan said without any hesitation, "I'll definitely send him to wherever it's dangerous. Why don't we send him to the Mirror Lake Oasis?" Zhou Wan's expression became strange. "Aren't you being a little too vicious? The Mirror Lake Oasis has been taken over by refined corpses. There's not even a single living person there. Whose business do you want him to do there? Even if the headquarters were to give me more power, they wouldn't agree to set up a branch here." Wang Daoyuan also felt that it was inappropriate. After thinking for a while, he answered, "Then let him go to the Falling Star Plains market. There are 3 to 4 gold core half-demon tribes there, and 2 beast herds with 4th-rank demonic beasts. That place is lively enough, and business is bound to happen." The Starfall Field was located over 50,000 li northwest of Guiyan City. It was the largest oasis in the desert. It was nearly 10,000 miles long from east to west and 4 to 5,000 miles wide from north to south. Many demons and half-demons lived there. Over the years, more and more human cultivators had entered the North Mountain. There were also many rogue cultivators who made a living there. The terrain of the Starfall Plain was flat, but there were many isolated small mountain peaks. Looking from the sky, they looked like stars. Many small mountains even had spirit springs gushing out, nourishing the entire Starfall Plateau. Zhou Wan laughed out loud. "When it comes to tricking people, you're still the best. The demons and half-demons there are really angry. If you send Chen Zhonggong there, he'll be captured by the demons and half-demons as a scapegoat." Wang Daoyuan didn't care at all. "Who cares? It's fine as long as we can fool the headquarters." Before the underworld sect reconciled with the demons in the North Mountain, didn't Elder Su trick you in the same way? Now it's his turn to be tricked. I'm also helping you vent your anger. If we throw Chen Zhonggong to the Starfall Field Market, the headquarters won't object, right?" Zhou Wan answered, "That's not a problem. The headquarters never consider the risk. The direct descendants of the Blood Shadow sect aren't flowers in a greenhouse. They also receive inhuman training from a young age. Those who can't withstand it are directly eliminated. Only those who can withstand the tests of life and death can enter the Blood Wolf sect. Although Chen Zhonggong is at the bottom of the Blood Wolf sect, he's not an ordinary person. If he goes to the Starfall Field, he won't necessarily die. And the Starfall Field is currently in a period of chaos, so there's no lack of business. As long as there's business to do, the headquarters won't object." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Then it's easy. You arrange for Chen Zhonggong to go there. After he's transferred away, I'll go to the Qingli branch with the identity of the North Mountain branch's deputy hall master, Ming Hu. I'll control the Qingli branch's deputy hall master, Qian Feng. At that time, the Qingli branch will be our family's." Zhou Wan nodded and asked, "When will you come over?" Wang Daoyuan smiled evilly and said, "After the Qingli branch's matter is settled, I'll go over. I've obtained a new secret art and need your cooperation." Zhou Wan looked at the doppelganger Lu Zong in front of her with an evil smile and snorted coldly. "Looking at your puppet's expression, I know that what you're cultivating isn't anything serious. I'll order Chen Zhonggong right now to go to the Starfall Field Market as soon as possible and establish a branch there." Finished speaking, she took out the Hallmaster token and sent a letter to Chen Zhonggong. After Chen Zhonggong received the letter, he did not reply either. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were not anxious either. At this time, the one who should be anxious was Chen Zhonggong. After waiting for half a month, they did not receive Chen Zhonggong's reply but received orders from Blood Shadow headquarters. The headquarters responded that Chen Zhonggong guarded the Qingli branch for many years and had worked hard and performed high meritorious deeds. He was now transferred back to the headquarters to take up a post. The Qingli branch's hallmaster was appointed by Xueqi herself. The matter of establishing the Starfall Field branch was also handed over to her. Looks like this was Elder Su personally taking action and bailing Chen Zhonggong out. A first-grade branch hallmaster was also considered a high position and authority within Blood Shadow. Wanting to overrule Xueqi's orders was really not just some random elder saying it. It needed to be issued in the name of the headquarters. Elder Su reckoned that he had to pay a considerable price before making the other elders agree. Wang Daoyuan did not care about these things. As long as he could control the Qingli branch, it did not matter how the headquarters kicked up a fuss. 3 days later, Chen Zhonggong sent a letter to Xueqi, reporting the situation of his resignation. As soon as Chen Zhonggong left, it was time for Wang Daoyuan to make his move. He secretly left Jade Spring Peak and came to Qingli Market. Blood Shadow Qingli branch's encampment was also in the old market, not far from the administrator's residence. Wang Daoyuan disguised himself as Ming Hu. Holding the deputy hallmaster token, he concealed his aura and came to a weapon workshop. This weapon workshop was called Chen Clan's Weapon Workshop. It was a shop used by Blood Shadow branch to deceive others. He walked into the workshop and asked the Peak Chi refinement cultivator who received the guests, "Tell your boss that an old friend from Shanbei has come to visit and wants to ask him to forge a magic weapon." This person had a puzzled expression, not knowing what to do. Then, a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator dressed as a shopkeeper walked over. He scanned Wang Daoyuan with his divine sense but could not see through his cultivation. He hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "Senior, the boss is busy and is not here." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "I know your big boss has left. I'm looking for the second boss." Hearing this, the shopkeeper knew that he was an internal member of Blood Shadow. The shopkeeper replied, "The second boss is forging weapons in the underground fire room. Senior, please follow me." Wang Daoyuan followed behind him. There really was an underground fire room. The shopkeeper walked into the underground fire room. There was no one forging weapons here. He asked, "May I know Senior's identity?" Wang Daoyuan took out the deputy hallmaster token and said, "Do you recognize this?" The shopkeeper immediately bowed. Qingli branch's Feng Qing greets the deputy hallmaster. "Sir, please follow me." Then, he took out a token and injected spiritual energy. The token flickered for a while, and formation patterns suddenly appeared on the walls of the underground fire room. Then they disappeared, and a door appeared on the back wall. Feng Qing cupped his hands and said, "Sir, this is Qingli branch's encampment." With that, he entered the door. Wang Daoyuan followed closely behind. Qingli Market Square was not like Shanbei branch, which had only been established for 200 years. This was a branch with tens of thousands of years of history. He thought there was something special about it, but after entering, he realized that it was not much different from Shanbei branch. It was just that the space was a little bigger and there were more cultivators. Feng Qing asked, "Sir, please wait in the meeting hall for a while. I will ask the deputy hallmaster to see you." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "No need. Just take me to Qian Feng's cave residence. I have some confidential matters to explain." If he wanted to make a move on Qian Feng, he naturally had to do it in a secret place. A place like the meeting hall was not suitable. Chapter 537. Feng Qing took out his identity token and sent a message to Qian Feng. Then, he led Wang Daoyuan to Qian Feng's cave abode. At this moment, someone was already waiting outside the cave abode. This person had a medium build and an ordinary appearance. He had a smile on his face and looked very kind. However, the murderous aura emitted from his body and the ruthlessness in his eyes from time to time showed that this person had killed a lot. Feng Qing bowed and said, "Greetings, Deputy Hallmaster. This is the Deputy Hallmaster of Shanbei Branch, Lord Ming Hu." Qian Feng cupped his hands and said, "Subordinate Qian Feng greets Lord Ming Hu. I heard that you have something important to discuss with me. Please come in." Qian Feng was only the Deputy Hallmaster of the second-level branch, while Wang Daoyuan was the Deputy Hallmaster of the first-level branch, whose status was higher than that of the second-level branch. Qian Feng naturally didn't dare to be arrogant in front of him. He bowed obediently and called himself a subordinate. Wang Daoyuan didn't say anything and just nodded. The two walked into the cave abode, and Feng Qing turned and left. Qian Feng opened the defensive and soundproof array in the cave abode, then cupped his hands and said, "May I know what orders Lord Ming has for me?" Wang Daoyuan nodded secretly. This Qian Feng was indeed sensible. He took the initiative to open the array. He wouldn't be discovered if he attacked directly. However, he still wanted to be cautious. If this Qian Feng had some special means and caused a big commotion, it would be troublesome. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "There's only the two of us here, so I won't beat around the bush." Now that Shanbei Branch's Hall Master Red Fox has reached the core formation realm, she can cover the sky in Yan'an County and Shanbei. I, the Deputy Hall Master, am also suppressed by her. However, she offended Elder Su. No matter how powerful she is, she can only be arrogant in these two branches and has no future. Hall Master Chen and I are both Elder Su's people. As far as I know, you were also promoted by Hall Master Chen. You should have some understanding of Elder Su's power. As long as you work for Elder Su, no matter how miserable your job is, you can be transferred to the headquarters in the future. What do you plan to do now? Qian Feng began to think. The Su family was a big family, but he was an outsider. Chen Zhonggong was a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. Elder Su was willing to take him away, but he was an itinerant cultivator. Just as he thought of this, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head and instantly lost consciousness. Just as he was thinking, Wang Daoyuan struck out with the soul-splitting blade. After obtaining Devourer's Soul Devourer Demon Inheritance, Wang Daoyuan made some improvements to the soul-splitting blade, increasing its power by a lot. Now that his cultivation had reached the golden core stage, his divine sense was far superior to his peers. Qian Feng was only a middle-stage Violet Palace Realm cultivator, and no matter how great his ability was, he was powerless before the soul-splitter blade. Wang Daoyuan immediately took out a fragment of his soul and sent it into his sea of consciousness. After that, he put Qian Feng into the spiritual pearl space and waited for the soul fragment to fuse with his body and soul. Wang Daoyuan's soul that had been stored in the soul nurturing pendant for close to 100 years had been seriously corroded by the aura of death. Now that he had the Azure Dragon Pearl, he often used the life force in the Azure Dragon Pearl to get rid of the death aura of these divided souls. At this rate, he would be able to continue using these split souls in a few hundred years. Half a day later, the fusion of the split soul and the avatar was completed. Wang Daoyuan checked Qian Feng's memories and found that this guy was really not a good person. He was an itinerant cultivator and spent all his time at the edge of the sky/mountain range. He did not have any skills, but his fighting strength was not bad. He had always relied on killing people and stealing treasures to cultivate. His talent was not bad. He was a 3-spirit root cultivator, and his main spirit root was a 7-inch 7-part fire spirit root. The cultivation techniques and dharma spells he cultivated were very miscellaneous and not of much value. Qian Feng entered Blood Shadow when he was in the late-stage foundation establishment stage after being chosen by Chen Zhonggong. Now, he was able to open up his Purple Palace realm because of Blood Shadow. This guy's loyalty to Chen Zhonggong was relatively high, and he was also considered one of Elder Su's men. From his memories, he learned that before Chen Zhonggong left, he left behind a few trusted aides with low cultivation and poor talent. Wang Daoyuan was not interested in the spiritual items in the treasury. For a second-stage branch like the Qingli branch, even third-stage spiritual items were very rare. The only valuable thing was a piece of yin-yang purple jade. This was also the last piece of yin-yang purple jade that the Qingli branch could obtain. In the future, when the headquarters distributed yin-yang purple jade, it would also be distributed to the Shanbei market. Naturally, he could not let this piece go. Right now, the administrator's residence was very lacking in Zifu realm cultivators. He could not easily trust foreign Zifu realm cultivators. If he wanted to expand his strength, he still had to rely on his own nurturing. As long as it was not given to a cultivator with poor talent and foundation, the yin-yang purple jade was almost certain to open up a Purple Palace realm. It could be said that a piece of yin-yang purple jade was equivalent to a Zifu realm cultivator. Wang Daoyuan let Qian Feng out and let him continue to manage the Qingli branch. As for Cui Ming, He would let him go when he reached the Shanbei branch. Qian Feng could be considered a member of Elder Su's faction. If Xueqi did not place someone in the Qingli market, it would be somewhat abnormal. At that time, Elder Su would suspect that Qian Feng had sided with Xueqi. He might even send another Zifu realm cultivator over. At that time, it would be even more troublesome to deal with. It would be reasonable to place Cui Ming in the Qingli branch in Xueqi's name. After leaving the Qingli market, he returned to Jade Spring Peak and handed the Yin-Yang Purple Jade to his third brother, Wang Daocheng. There were still a few Peak Foundation establishment cultivators in the family. It was up to the family to decide who to hand it over to. The Wang family had basically realized the freedom of Foundation establishment pills. Any clansman could directly exchange for Foundation establishment pills as long as they had sufficient contribution points. However, something like the Yin-Yang Purple Jade could not be easily exchanged for. It had to be given to clansmen with good talent and potential. The matter of the administrator's residence had already been settled. He greeted his third brother and asked him to take care of Yun Yi before heading to the Guiyan market. He had already comprehended the Cloud and Rain Heart Sutra for a period of time. He could not just study cultivation techniques and secret techniques. He had to practice more. When he arrived at Xueqi's cave abode in the underground branch, Xueqi was cultivating. He did not disturb her and sat in the backyard garden, drinking wine and admiring the flowers. An hour later, Xueqi woke up from her meditation. Wang Daoyuan was pouring wine from a wine jar into his mouth. With a flash of fire, the wine jar was gone. Xueqi appeared in front of him and took a sip from the wine jar. She said, "The grade of the spirit veins in the Guiyan market is too low. My cultivation speed can't keep up. I can only rely on spiritual items to replenish it. Let's start with 1,000 jars of 100-year spirit peach dew. The drunken dragon wine newly brewed by the family is not as good at recovering spiritual power as this spirit peach dew." Back then, when Wang Daoyuan helped the Netherworld sect refine the flying warship, he obtained the drunken dragon grass seed from the old drunkard. After 10 years of cultivation and decades of research by the clansmen. Finally today, more than 100 years later, the drunken dragon wine was brewed. Unfortunately, the drunken dragon wine was too strong. Apart from those who really liked wine, ordinary cultivators would not drink it. Its spiritual power recovery effect was slightly inferior to the spirit peach dew of the same year. Wang Daoyuan did not plan on brewing the drunken dragon wine in large quantities. He only planted an acre of drunken dragon grass and other supplementary materials in the newly added land within the space of the spirit bead. Wang Daoyuan said with an evil smile, "The spirit peach dew is only a second-tier spiritual wine. After 1,000 years, it'll only reach the third tier. It's not reliable for golden core cultivators to cultivate with this. However, I do have a method to increase cultivation speed. I wonder if the hall master would be interested in trying it?" Xueqi looked at his evil smile and snorted coldly. "From your expression, it definitely isn't anything good." Wang Daoyuan took out the Heart Sutra of Clouds and Rain and passed it to her. He said with a smile, "You've misunderstood me. This is definitely something good." Xueqi received the beast skin book doubtfully. After probing it with her spiritual sense for a while, she blushed. She tossed the beast skin book at Wang Daoyuan and pouted playfully. "I told you it wasn't anything good. You're such a pervert. What kind of decent thing can you take out?" Wang Daoyuan received the beast skin book and smiled. This is a cultivation method created by a golden core couple over 30,000 years ago. Whether it's good or bad cannot be determined with a single glance. True knowledge comes from practice. Why don't we try it out? Before Xueqi could refute him, he had already walked over and picked her up, walking into the room. Xueqi only put up a few symbolic resistance and gave him a few punches. Chapter 538. Over a year later, Wang Daoyuan practiced all the secret techniques recorded in the Heart Sutra of Cloud and Rain with a critical attitude. The secret techniques in the Heart Sutra of Cloud and Rain could only be practiced when the difference in cultivation was not too great. There were very few cultivators with cultivation partners in the clan who were of similar cultivation, so it was not very suitable to promote it in the clan. As for improving it, Wang Daoyuan did not have a deep enough understanding of the secret techniques, so he did not know where to start. However, the secret technique was extremely effective. His cultivation speed was comparable to cultivating near a low-grade level, 4 spiritual vein of no attributes. Xueqi's cultivation was even better. She was a cultivator with 2 spiritual veins, and her main spiritual vein was a fire spiritual vein of 8 inches and 9 parts. Her special constitution was a battle constitution, and her minor ability was fire. However, before she used her minor ability to condense spiritual fire, it basically did not increase her cultivation speed at all. Logically speaking, her cultivation speed should have been slower than Wang Daoyuan's, but in reality, their cultivation speeds were about the same. The secret technique did not conflict with the cultivation method he practiced, and it did not take much of a toll on the body. It was more suitable for long-term cultivation. In the past year or so, he had been cultivating diligently. He did not care much about the affairs of the administrator's estate. It was a bit like, from now on, the monarch would not attend court. The administrator's estate continued to do business as usual. Before Wang Daoyuan established his Violet Palace, when the clan took back the territory occupied by the Liang family, he had killed so many independent cultivators that they did not dare to call him by his name. Now that he had formed a golden core, the independent cultivators of the South Yen Commandery feared him even more, let alone cause trouble for him. The Green Willow province was focused on doing business with the administrator's estate. The underworld sect's Dark Water River was problematic, so they did not want to cause any trouble now. As a result, the 4 markets were very peaceful. They did not encounter any disturbances at all. The greatest change was the rapid development of the Demon Slaying Division under the administrator's estate. Now, the Demon Slaying Division had over 130 late and peak foundation establishment cultivators. They were divided into 12 hunting squads. The level, 3 arcane artifacts, talismans and formation discs they used were all provided by the administrator's estate. If they had good equipment they would be bold. They would often work together with several hunting squads to attack large, low-grade level 3 demon beasts that were more difficult to deal with. At this time, second brother Wang Daoxing would drive the grade 3 upper-grade flying warship and bring along more than 10 expedition division cultivators to protect them. In the past year or so, the Demon Slayers Division had killed more than 20 low-grade rank 3 demonic beasts. In addition to Zhao Liang, there were still a few Tier 3 weapon refiners under the command of South Yen County. The demonic beast materials were all refined into Tier 3 magic tools. As for the beast core, Wang Mingshan would refine it into the foundation building pill. Wang Mingshan was now a 3rd-tier middle-grade alchemist, refining the building foundation dan. He could also refine 6 to 7 pills in one furnace. Although he couldn't compare with Wang Daoyuan in the past, now he didn't need to sell 2 foundation establishment pills to the Netherworld sect. He could keep as many as he refined. The cultivators of the monster slaying department had ample resources and the protection of flying warships, so there were very few casualties. With the cooperation of a few hunting teams, the losses of Dharma artifacts and formation discs were not great. Therefore, the administrator's mansion still made a profit by killing a rank 3 demonic beast. The more the monster slaying department and the expedition division fought, the stronger they became. The more resources they obtained, the more itinerant cultivators were willing to join, forming a virtuous cycle. On Bloodshadow's side, the headquarters didn't send any more hall masters to the Qingli branch, nor did they promote Qianfeng to hall master. The meaning was very clear. Elder Su didn't want to continue investing too much power in this side. After all, Zhou was already a golden core cultivator. Sending Zifu realm cultivators over was equivalent to sending them to their deaths. Now that the situation in Shanbei was chaotic, sending golden core cultivators over would be a huge loss if anything happened. Zhou promoted Qianfeng to Qingli branch's hall master. Wang Daoyuan also released his clone Cui Ming, and Zhou appointed him as Qingli branch's deputy hall master. Qingli branch still had many of Chen Zhonggong's trusted subordinates, so it wasn't difficult to deal with them. The trusted subordinates left behind by the Mystic Sable had done this before, so they just needed to arrange some high-risk missions. Now that there were many itinerant cultivators near Qingli City Market, no matter how many cultivators were killed, they could be quickly replaced. Wang Daoyuan was sleeping soundly in his bed when he suddenly felt a wave of spirit power from under the bed. Someone had sent a message. His clothes and storage bag fell under the bed, so he used his divine sense to control the storage bag to fly up. He opened the storage bag and checked the jade talisman that was emitting spirit power. It was a message from 5th Great Uncle. The four top forces were going to auction the yin-yang purple jade and the purple cloudwood core at Chengzhou County, the capital of Zhou Country. This was the highest standard auction in the whole of Beiyuan Xiuxian, held once every 100 years. Apart from Blood Shadow, all human forces with golden core cultivators in the entire cultivation world would be invited. Although Administrator Yennan's residence was a subordinate force of the Netherworld sect, it was also a force with a lot of autonomy. The Divine Weapon Pavilion had already sent news that the Wang family was also invited. Considering the awkward position of the Wang family, Zhou Jingyuan also sent a message through the channel of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, saying that he would send a flying warship to pick him up. There were not many opportunities for ordinary golden core forces to buy the yin-yang purple jade or the purple cloudwood core, so Wang Daoyuan did not want to miss it. Moreover, this auction would not only auction the yin-yang purple jade, but also other spiritual items. The auction that all human golden core forces participated in was an excellent opportunity to trade rare spiritual items, so there were naturally many good things. After the auction, there would also be an exchange meeting between golden core cultivators, and they would often encounter extremely precious 4th-level spiritual items. There were too few 4th-level spiritual plants in Wang Daoyuan's spiritual pearl space, so he could take advantage of this Beiyuan Xiuxian's highest standard auction to buy some 4th-level spiritual plants. This time, he was leaving the family openly, so he had to be prepared to prevent the Netherworld sex bastards from taking risks. At this time, Zhou Wan was sleeping soundly with her head on his left arm. Wang Daoyuan patted her on the back, and she said in a daze, "I'm tired, don't toss anymore." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Something happened outside, and I need to go to Zhou. Do you want to come with me? You can also go back to your family." Zhou Wan woke up and asked, "Why are you going to Zhou?" "To auction the yin-yang purple jade. I'm the master of a region, and the Divine Weapon Pavilion sent me an invitation. Our eldest nephew Zhou Jingyuan also said that he would send a flying warship to pick me up." "What a good child. You know how to be filial to your uncle," Wang Daoyuan replied. Zhou Wan shook her head and said, "My family has left Zhou for more than 1,000 years, and I don't have any relatives there. Besides, it's not suitable for me to show my face in public, so I'd better not go." After saying that, she sat up and helped Wang Daoyuan put on his clothes, and said, "This trip is hundreds of thousands of miles, so be careful. I'll take care of the family, so don't worry." Wang Daoyuan praised, "You're becoming more and more like a good wife, but don't act rashly. I'll leave a golden core devil here, and this guy's name is Devouring Spirit. Once something happens to the family, let him out, and I'll tell him to listen to your orders." Devouring Spirit's ability to hide is extremely high, and those idiots from the Netherworld sect have never seen a devil before, so they can't do anything to him. Devouring Spirit is enough, and unless it's absolutely necessary, don't put yourself in danger. Zhou Wan's face was filled with astonishment. "You're so capable? You can control a golden core puppet, and a devil?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Others don't know how capable I am, but don't you know?" After saying that, he took out the Black Devil's robe and handed it to Zhou Wan. "This is the Black Devil's robe, refined from the wings of a black-winged devil. Put on this Black Devil's robe, and even a half-step Yuanian cultivator won't be able to see through your real situation. If there's no other choice, just put on the Black Devil's robe and go out, and help me guard the Jade Spring Peak. I'll leave Devouring Spirit in the Vice Hall Master's cave, and when you need him to act, just tell him." Zhou Wan took the Black Devil's robe and nodded solemnly. Wang Daoyuan left Zhou Wan's cave and left his clone, Devouring Spirit, in the Vice Hall Master's cave. Then, he left returning Wild Goose Market and went to the Jade Spring Peak. Chapter 539. After arriving at Jade Spring Peak, he called the 12th uncle and the 3rd brother to his cave abode and asked, "I'll soon rush to Zhou to bid for the yin-yang purple jade. How many spirit stones does the family have now?" The 3rd brother, Wang Daochong, was still the family leader, so he naturally answered. Wang Daochong replied, "Now, the family's annual income is more than 500,000 spirit stones. Especially after the establishment of the administrator's residence, the family has also reaped a lot of benefits. Currently, there are more than 1.6 million spirit stones in the treasury. If you take them all out, it's enough to buy 2 yin-yang purple jades. In the past few years, The administrator's residence relied on renting the Wang family's flying boat to do business. Wang Daoyuan raised the rent especially high, and the Wang family earned a lot of spirit stones. In addition, they sold their family's resources, so the 4 markets and oasis could eat as many resources as they wanted. After they were not afraid of the netherworld sect's suppression and expanded their business, the family's income was much higher than before. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "Just take 1,000,000 spirit stones. I have a lot of them myself. I'll go back to the administrator's residence and get some more spirit stones. I'm the only golden core cultivator in the Wang family, so I can't buy too many yin-yang purple jades. It'll be good if I can get 2. The main purpose of my trip is to buy some rank 4 spirit herbs to enrich the family. I'm the only golden core cultivator in the administrator's residence. If I leave, some people might be tempted. Whether it's the netherworld sect, the demons, or half-demons in the north of the mountain, we have to guard against them. You don't have to worry too much. I've already prepared a backup plan. 1 or 2 golden core cultivators won't be a problem. Once someone attacks our Wang family, don't worry about the properties. Just take out the rank 4 array disc and guard Jade Spring Peak. If Jade Spring Peak can't withstand it, then use the escape route and hide in the Heavenly/Mountain range. As long as we're still alive, we can take back the properties we lost." The family had also collected some high-grade spirit stones. In addition to the defensive array disc that Xian Jiuxiao gave during the Golden Core ceremony, they could still resist Golden Core cultivators for a few hours if they were prepared in advance. The 2 of them nodded. After Wang Daochong left for a while, he returned with a storage pouch. "Here are 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones." Wang Daoyuan took the spirit stones and nodded. "I'll leave the family to you. I'll go to the governor's mansion to tell my granduncle something." After he finished speaking, he left Jade Spring Peak and headed towards Clear Glass City. Although it hadn't been long since the establishment of the administrator's office, it still had a profit of nearly 2 million a year through the reselling of resources through the 2 trade routes. There were still not enough people in the administrator's mansion. Their daily expenses were no more than 500,000 to 600,000 spirit stones a year. Rewarding cultivators with meritorious service would also consume some spirit stones. The Demon Slayers division still had some surplus and did not need any additional subsidies. The taxes collected by each market square could bring in 200,000 to 300,000 spirit stones a year. After finishing the business with the underworld sect, the total profit for a year would be more than 1,500,000 spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan took 4 million spirit stones from the administrator's office. Together with the 1 million spirit stones from his family and the 1 million spirit stones he had on hand, he had more than 6 million spirit stones in total. He didn't expect to be able to buy any heavenly materials and earthly treasures. It would be a great profit if he could get a few level 4 spiritual plants. At the administrator's mansion, he let the cultivators of the Demon Slayers division rest for a while. They didn't want to provoke a level 4 demonic beast while he was away. At that time, without a golden core cultivator, the entire South Yen County would be in danger if they provoked a level 4 demonic beast. With more than 6 million spirit stones, it wouldn't be a big problem to deal with the auction. However, he still had to prepare for the exchange after the auction. Wang Daoyuan had a lot of good things in his hands, such as the 5-element spiritual fire and the remaining earth essence from refining the Kirin seal. Among the level 4 spiritual plants, there were the yellow spring willow and the blood fire hibiscus. Any one of them could make a group of people go crazy. However, there weren't many things he was willing to take out for exchange. After thinking about it, the only things he was willing to take out were some level 4 hidden cloud tea, level 4 low-grade heaven demon gold, and the level 4 mid-grade Tai gold essence that contained the Tai golden flame. The white tiger blade was already a level 4 low-grade magic weapon. The heaven demon gold was useless, and the level 4 mid-grade Tai gold essence didn't need much. He could take out half of each. In addition, he could also take out some face-retaining pills. These things weren't very useful. Wang Daoyuan just casually planted a few in the corner of the spiritual pearl space. Half of the refined face-retaining pills were snatched away by Zhou Wan. For male golden core cultivators, the face-retaining pills weren't worth many spirit stones. However, for female cultivators, they were no different from heavenly materials and earthly treasures. They could be used to scam the Wind Snow God Palace. By arousing the interest of these people, The family could produce face-retaining pills on a large scale in the future and sell them specifically to them. The Wind Snow God Palace was a cold place. It was good for cultivating ice attribute cultivation techniques, but it was impossible for them to grow ordinary spiritual plants. He wasn't afraid of them growing face-retaining pills on a large scale. This business could be done in the long run. After waiting in the clear glass market for 3 days, a level 4 low-grade flying warship came north along the clear glass river. Wang Daoyuan flew into the sky on a cloud to welcome the flying warship. The warship hovered above the clear glass market. A late-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator wearing a red robe stood at the bow of the ship. He cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan and said, "Greetings, Senior Wang. This junior is under the orders of the Crown Prince to welcome Senior to the Zhou Empire to participate in the auction." Wang Daoyuan recognized this person. He had seen him in the hidden dragon county of the Zhou Empire when he was a late-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator. This person was Zhou Jingkai, the nephew of the Zhou Emperor and the younger cousin of the Zhou Emperor. Wang Daoyuan returned the greeting and said, "Zhou Daoyu, there's no need to be so polite. You and I are old acquaintances. We can call each other as equals." Zhou Jingkai could also be considered a nephew, but it wasn't good to say this out loud. This child had come from afar, and he couldn't put on airs as an uncle. The two exchanged a few words, and Wang Daoyuan boarded the warship and left the clear glass market. A level 4 low-grade flying warship was worthy of being called a magic artifact that could fight against early-stage Aurus core cultivators. Its speed was around 8,000 kilometers in 2 hours, which was faster than most early-stage Aurus core cultivators flying on clouds. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual sense to scan the outer shell of the warship, as well as the magic artifacts that came with it. He estimated that with his strength, it would take him at least an hour to take down this flying warship. Ordinary early-stage Aurus core cultivators like Gu Wangzong wouldn't be able to fight against this flying warship. In the Three River Market, the warship also met the Netherworld sect's Grand Elder Zhong Zhenyang. The Netherworld sect naturally also wanted to participate in the auction. When he saw Wang Daoyuan board the flying warship, he shamelessly boarded the ship. This fellow chatted and laughed with Wang Daoyuan along the way, almost becoming sworn brothers. Those who didn't know would really think that the two had a good relationship. After 2 or 3 days, the flying warship arrived at the capital of Zhou State. The location of Chengzhou County was roughly in the center of the territories of various states. Before the hegemony of various states, Zhou State's strength was not inferior to the 4 top forces, and it was also one of the holy lands of the human race. The capital allowed Aurus core cultivators to fly, but not flying warships. The flying warship stopped more than 10 miles outside the east gate of the capital, and Wang Daoyuan and Zhong Zhenyang rode a cloud and left the flying warship. Zhou Jingkai ordered people to drive the flying warship elsewhere, while he stayed on Wang Daoyuan's cloud and entered the capital. Zhou State really liked phoenixes, and the gate of the capital was carved with phoenix patterns. Zhou Jingkai led the two to the Qingtong Pavilion in the south of the city, which was a place to entertain foreign guests. This Qingtong Pavilion was really a gathering of Aurus core cultivators. As soon as they entered, dozens of spiritual senses swept over, and more than 10 of them belonged to Aurus core cultivators. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense cultivation was also outstanding among middle-stage Aurus core cultivators, but it was not as good as late-stage Aurus core cultivators. If a late-stage Aurus core cultivator deliberately hid their spiritual sense fluctuations when spying, he really couldn't find it. In this Qingtong Pavilion, there should be more than 20 Aurus core cultivators at this time. There were still more than 10 days before the auction, and most of the Aurus core forces hadn't arrived yet. When the auction came, it should be more lively. Chapter 540. The Qingtong Pavilion had a total of 4 floors. The first floor housed small forces with less than 5 golden core cultivators. Medium-sized forces with 5 to 10 golden core cultivators lived on the second floor. Large-scale forces with more than 10 golden core cultivators lived on the third floor. The strength of the 4 top forces was not on the same level as the other forces. In order to show respect, they lived on the top floor. Zhou Jingkai led Wang Daoyuan and Zhong Zhenyang to their respective rooms. Wang Daoyuan lived on the first floor, and Zhong Zhenyang lived on the second floor. Among the golden core cultivators who had already arrived, there were no acquaintances of Wang Daoyuan. He also did not go out to visit, and just stayed in his room. In the next 5 days, Dozens of forces came one after another. After that, no other forces dared to come over. Wang Daoyuan scanned the entire Qingtong Pavilion with his spiritual consciousness and found that there were more than 40 rooms on the first floor, more than 20 on the second floor, and more than 10 on the third floor. In total, there were more than 80 golden core cultivators. His spiritual consciousness was always staring at the door, and he found that these golden core forces all came with one person. 80 golden core cultivators meant that there were more than 80 golden core forces. There were more than 100 golden core forces in the entire Beiyuan Xueqi, and there were still more than 20 who had not come. Most of these forces came from various countries. The remaining small number of forces came from dangerous places all over the world. For example, Wang Daoyuan also met an acquaintance. It was the flying sand wanderer who dominated Mingsha Plain. This guy had now succeeded in forming his gold core. Wang Daoyuan paid him a special visit and learned that this guy had unified Mingsha Plain. Although he married a lot of half-demon women, he was still a proper human. The flying sand wanderer had now changed his name to Mingsha Sect. He gathered rogue cultivators from all over the world and operated his territory. He was no longer the former bandits. This guy also knew how to behave, and he tightly hugged the thigh of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. The Divine Weapon Pavilion did not treat him unfairly and invited him over. Wang Daoyuan and he could be considered old friends, so he went to say hello. 3 days before the auction, the 4 top forces arrived one after another. All the sects had sent peak-stage gold core realm cultivators. The Tai Sword sect and the Archaic Mysteries sect each sent 3 peak-stage gold core realm cultivators, but Wang Daoyuan did not recognize any of them. Among the people from the Divine Weapon Pavilion, there was his master, Venerable Lei Yan. Wang Daoyuan naturally had to pay him a visit. Arriving at the top floor where his master was temporarily staying, he bowed to his master. Taoist Lei Yan opened all the restrictions in the room and said with a smile, "Your cultivation progress is really fast. At this rate, you'll be able to enter the middle golden core stage in another 10 years or so. It's just that your qi and blood fluctuations are different from before. It seems like your primordial yang is gone. Have you found a Dao companion?" Wang Daoyuan smiled awkwardly. "I can't hide anything from you. I do have a Dao companion." Taoist Thunderflame nodded and said, "It's good to find a Dao companion. Give me a grand disciple as soon as possible. You are talented and intelligent, and now that you have reached the golden core stage, as long as your child has spiritual roots, his or her talent will definitely not be bad. Which family is your Dao companion from? What is her cultivation level?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Her cultivation level is about the same as mine. She is from a distant branch of the Zhou clan, and is of the same generation as the current Zhou emperor. However, she no longer has any contact with the Zhou clan. It's just that her identity cannot be revealed. Master, you must keep it a secret." "That's right, Master. I want to ask you for the method of condensing spiritual fire with a minor divine ability. My Dao companion's minor divine ability is also a flame. It's just that she has yet to cultivate spiritual fire." Taoist Lei Yan's face was full of admiration. "Good lad. You can even find a genius with a minor divine ability when looking for a Dao companion. However, you have also helped me vent my anger." That old man, the retired emperor of Zhou, relied on his age and his friendship with your grandmaster to act like an elder. Now, I'm finally on the same level as him. The retired emperor of Zhou, who was also Zhou Jingyuan's grandfather, was already over 1100 years old. The Zhou clan had the Phoenix bloodline. A few golden core cultivators with a high concentration of Phoenix bloodline could live over 1,000 years old. After saying this, Taoist Lei Yan handed a jade slip to Wang Daoyuan and smiled. "This is my secret technique for condensing the purple thunder divine flame. It can be used as a reference." Wang Daoyuan received the jade slip and thanked him repeatedly. After chatting with his master for a few days, Wang Daoyuan asked him many questions about golden core cultivation. Soon after, Wang Daoyuan left his master's cave and went to visit the Tai Sword sect and Archaic Mysteries sect to ask about the recent situation of his acquaintances. 3 days later, the auction officially began. The location of the auction was the Phoenix stage in the center of the capital city. Zhou Jingyuan brought a few golden core cultivators of the Zhou clan and personally came to the Green Tong Pavilion to welcome the other golden core cultivators. The cultivators of the 4 top powers walked at the front while the cultivators of the other powers lined up according to their power. Everyone rode a cloud towards the Phoenix stage. The Phoenix stage had a long history. It was said that it was first seen when the Zhou country was founded. At the center of the Phoenix stage was a stage that was more than 20 feet tall and 100 feet long. There were many palaces around it. The auction platform for this time's auction was set up on this high platform. The cultivators of the various clans who participated in the auction sat in the palaces around the stage. After the auction, the Golden Core cultivators would travel around the Phoenix stage and then participate in the exchange. Under the guidance of the Zhou clan cultivators, everyone walked to their respective seats. The four top powers sat in the palaces around the stage. Wang Daoyuan followed his master and sat in the south of the stage. Soon after, a late-stage Golden Core cultivator of the Zhou clan came forward and said some polite words. In the end, he said, "This auction has a total of 200 yin-yang purple jades and purple cloud wood cores. 50 of them will be auctioned individually while the rest will be auctioned in groups of 5. The first 50 were auctioned individually to take care of the smaller clans. The latter 5 were auctioned in groups to take care of the larger clans. The total number of yin-yang purple jades and purple cloud wood cores auctioned each time was different. This was decided by the 4 top powers after discussion. The Zhou country, the Qing country, and several second-rate forces could also produce some yin-yang purple jades and purple cloud wood cores, but they were not very stable. Moreover, there were not many of them. It was far from enough for their own use. Auctioning these things seemed to be an order given to the 4 great clans by an ancient mighty figure. It was also a means for the 4 great clans to maintain their aloof status. In addition to this kind of public auction, they could also exchange benefits with the 4 great clans to obtain some yin-yang purple jades. Otherwise, these 200 wouldn't be enough for so many Golden Core clans. Most of the cultivators who didn't participate in the auction had other channels to obtain yin-yang purple jades from the 4 great clans. As soon as the auction began, Wanderer Flying Sand next to him sent him a voice transmission. "Dao Yu, let's join forces to take down a group of 5 yin-yang purple jades. When the time comes, you take 3 and I take 2, or you take 2 and I take 3. What do you think, Dao Yu?" Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections and immediately agreed. With more than 6 million spirit stones in his hand, he didn't feel any pressure to take down a group. However, if he took it alone, it would be too hateful. Especially the people from the 3 great sects of the state of Zhao, Wang Daoyuan didn't want to be suppressed by them. In the first 50 bids, Wang Daoyuan also called a few bids, but he only called 850,000 at most. The price of a single auction was relatively high, so it wasn't cost-effective to take it down at this time. In the space of the spiritual bead, the pure yin and pure yang qi produced by the Gue Water Death Flame and the Scarlet Yang True Fire was enough. Some purple qi was produced in the middle of the space. Wang Daoyuan also planted a few purple cloud trees there. As the spiritual fire grew, the amount of yin-yang purple qi produced would also increase. It was estimated that in a few decades, he would be able to produce purple cloud wood cores. There was no need to buy too much now, as it would only invite hatred for no reason. After the auction of the 50 single auctions, the average price was about 950,000. Then, the auction began in groups of 5. This time, Wang Daoyuan didn't speak and let Wanderer Flying Sand shout the price. In the end, Wanderer Flying Sand bought a group of yin-yang purple jades at the price of 4.3 million. The average price was 860,000 each, which was much more cost-effective than a single auction. The 3 great sects of the state of Zhao had been relatively peaceful these years, and they had accumulated more spirit stones in their hands, so they each took a group. Chapter 541. Wang Daoyuan and Flying Sand Wanderer didn't care about the rest. After the auction, they began to discuss the distribution through voice transmissions. Flying Sand Wanderer took the lead and said, "Dao Yu, I'm now in charge of the Mingsha sect. My family is large and I need a lot of yin-yang purple jades. Can you let me take 3? Wang Daoyuan naturally wanted to take 3. His family's demand for yin-yang purple jades was very high. The current Peak Foundation establishment cultivators were his uncle Wang Shouzhe, his 27th brother Wang Daojian, and his eldest brother's great-grandson Wang Mingshan. There were 7 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. Apart from his 8th uncle and 9th aunt who had no hope of reaching Peak Foundation establishment, the other 5 had the possibility of establishing Violet Palace. Among them was his grandnephew Wang Dezhao, who had offered the Cloud Rain Heart Sutra. This child had made such a great contribution. No matter what, he had to be given the opportunity to establish Violet Palace. Although he was a guest elder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion and could buy a few Yin-Yang purple jades, doing business like this was too risky. However, doing business like this was too hurtful. Unless there was no other choice, he couldn't do it. Wang Daoyuan laughed. Flying San Daoyu, your Mingsha sect is a sect and not a family. You don't need to nurture your own Violet Palace realm cultivators. I'm a family cultivator. There are nearly 1,000 cultivators in my family. Violet Palace realm cultivators are all nurtured by themselves. Their demand for Yin-Yang purple jades is even greater. I remember that the person in charge of the Divine Weapon Pavilion store in the Mingsha market is my senior martial brother. I'm also a guest elder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. In the future, your Mingsha sect will have a lot of business with the Divine Weapon Pavilion. When the time comes, you can mention our friendship. My senior martial brother will definitely give you some discounts. When Flying Sand Vagabond heard this, he agreed. Soon, the auction of 200 Yin-Yang purple jades and purple cloudwood cores was completed. The Zhou clan also sent out Violet Palace realm cultivators to deliver the Yin-Yang purple jades to the successful bidders and take away the spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan gave his spirit stones to Flying Sand Wanderer. Flying Sand Wanderer took the Yin-Yang purple jades and handed over the spirit stones. He also gave 2 Yin-Yang purple jades and a purple cloudwood core to Wang Daoyuan. Soon, all the bidders finished their transactions. However, everyone present didn't leave. The auction of the Yin-Yang purple jade was just the opening act. There were still some artifacts and spiritual items to be auctioned next. After everyone rested for a moment, the second auction officially began. Soon, a Zifu disciple stepped onto the stage, wielding a long sword. The auctioneer introduced, "This is a high-grade Tier 4 magic weapon, the Flying Star Phoenix Flame Sword. Its raw material is a fire attribute meteorite, and it was forged by Taoist Master Crimson Phoenix using his true life fire. The starting bid for this Flying Star Phoenix Flame Sword is 1 million spirit stones, and each bid must be at least 10,000 spirit stones." Flying swords were the most worthless Tier 4 magic artifacts. Golden Core cultivators mainly used their natal magic artifacts and did not need to use sword kinesis flight. Their need for flying swords was extremely small. On the other hand, defensive Dharma artifacts were extremely popular. After all, Golden Core Heavenly Tribulation required a 4th-tier defensive Dharma artifact to withstand the Heavenly Tribulation. The price of a Tier 4 defensive Mystic artifact was generally twice that of an offensive Mystic artifact of the same tier. Wang Daoyuan had heard of Taoist Master Qilwan before. He was also a member of the Zhou family. He was also the direct ancestor of Zhou Wan. He had already passed away more than 500 years ago. Zhou Wan's special physique was inherited from Taoist Qilwan. The Crimson Phoenix fire technique that she cultivated was also created by Taoist Qilwan. In the end, the Flying Star Phoenix Flame Sword was sold for 1,300,000 spirit stones, which was not much higher than the market price. The second magic artifact was a mid-grade Tier 4 gourd called the Blazing Sun Divine Flame Gourd. It could store all kinds of flames and absorb fire spiritual energy to strengthen the power of the flames. This item was quite good when used with the Blazing Sun True Fire. Wang Daoyuan was really tempted. After calling out the price twice, he heard his master's voice transmission. "Daon, don't waste spirit stones on this item. I know you're using it to deal with a high-grade Tier 4 refined corpse, but it's not enough. I've already forged a high-grade Tier 4 magic artifact for you, and it's still being nurtured in the cauldron. In 10 years, it'll be able to be used. It's much better than this broken gourd." Taoist Master Lei Yan was one of the top blacksmiths in Beiyuan Xiuxian. Wang Daoyuan naturally believed in his foresight and did not continue to bid. The next few items were all Tier 4 magic artifacts, and Wang Daoyuan did not bid. After the Tier 4 magic artifacts were warmed up, Tier 4 refining materials began to appear. Wang Daoyuan bought 60 kilograms of low-grade Tier 4 deep-sea black gold at the price of 20,000 spirit stones per kilogram. This was a dual attribute metal and water material. Its strength was not too high, but it could be used to forge offensive and defensive magic artifacts. Buying a low-grade Tier 4 material at this price, he did not expect to get anything precious. 60 kilograms of deep-sea black gold and some supplementary materials could be used to forge 4 or 5 low-grade Tier 4 defensive magic artifacts. The price of a low-grade Tier 4 defensive magic artifact would not be lower than 600,000 spirit stones. 1,200,000 spirit stones was not considered expensive. The following refining materials were all more precious. Wang Daoyuan did not have many spirit stones, so he did not bid again. After more than 10 refining materials, the grand finale officially appeared. Next was the 4 top forces' auction of their respective sects' treasures. First was the Wind Snow God Palace's items. The Wind Snow God Palace specialized in talismans, especially dermic talismans. No other force in the North Deep could compare to them. The Wind Snow Chilling Heavenly Talisman was the Wind Snow Chilling Heavenly Talisman. A high-grade Tier 4 Wind Snow Chilling Heavenly Talisman could freeze an area of 100 miles in an instant. If one did not have any powerful means to resist or a brilliant escape technique to avoid it, the Wind Snow Chilling Heavenly Talisman would not be able to survive. Middle Golden Core Stage cultivators basically had no chance of survival, and even late Golden Core Stage cultivators would be severely injured. The Wind Snow God Palace did not take out a Wind Snow Chilling Heavenly Talisman, but a mid-grade Tier 4 Extreme Cold Mysterious Ice Talisman. It also had the ability to severely injure a mid-stage Golden Core cultivator. The starting price was 3 million spirit stones, and it was finally bought by the Zhou dynasty's royal family for 5 million spirit stones. The second item was the Tai Sword Sex item. It was not very novel. It was a copy of the Tai Sword diagram by Taoist Shen Lei, and the starting price was 4 million spirit stones. This item was very valuable to sword cultivators, and it was useless to ordinary cultivators. Wang Daoyuan also had a copy by Taoist Swordless. He often took it out to study and gained a lot. Although Taoist Shen Lei was Taoist Swordless Master, it was hard to say who was stronger. Taoist Swordless' understanding of sword cultivation should be deeper than Taoist Xuan Lei's. Wang Daoyuan already had a better one, so he did not care about this. In the end, the Tai Sword diagram was bought by the Setting Sun Palace for 7 million spirit stones. The Archaic Arcanum sect was best at array formations, and they took out a high-grade Tier 4 defensive array disc with a starting price of 8 million spirit stones. In the end, it was bought by the Qin dynasty's royal family for 12 million spirit stones. The last item to appear was the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Everyone knew what it was. Usually, the Divine Weapon Pavilion would take out 1 or 2 low-grade Tier 4 flying warships for various forces to bid on. Wang Daoyuan naturally coveted this flying warship. However, the price of a Tier 4 flying warship was too high. It would cost at least 10 million spirit stones. Moreover, a Tier 4 flying warship must be powered by high-grade spirit stones. He did not have a spirit stone mine that could produce high-grade spirit stones, so he could not afford it even if he bought it. A Golden Core cultivator walked up and took out a low-grade Tier 4 flying warship from his yin and yang ring. The auctioneer shouted, "The Divine Weapon Pavilion refined a low-grade Tier 4 flying warship. The starting price is 10 million spirit stones." This item was a stabilizing force for small and mid-grade Golden Core forces. A Gold Core cultivator could only guard the sect for 600 to 700 years from the time he formed his Gold Core to the time he passed away. As for a Tier 4 flying warship, as long as it was not destroyed by an expert, it could be used for tens of thousands of years. Naturally, there were many people bidding for such a good item. The 3 major sects of Zhao also took turns to bid. In the end, the flying warship was bought by the Song Emperor, Song Yan, for 16 million spirit stones. Back then, when Song attacked Wuqing Pass, Song Yan wanted to risk his life, but his grandfather dissuaded him. Now, his grandfather had passed away more than 20 years ago. Song Yan held all the power in Song. He had been accumulating his strength, preparing to attack Zhao again. Song Yan's Golden Core cultivators did not have an advantage, so they bought the flying warship to make up for their lack of Golden Core cultivators. Looking at how crazy this guy was, there would be another great battle in the future. Chapter 542. The auction came to an end. Next was a tour of the Phoenix stage, followed by an exchange meeting. The Phoenix stage was surrounded by palaces, and there were at least 1,000 of them. In terms of magnificence, it could be said to be unparalleled. But Wang Daoyuan was not interested. This phoenix stage was far inferior to the Forbidden City in his previous life in terms of magnificence. There were some pavilions and waterside pavilions, but they were far inferior to the Jiangnan Gardens in his previous life. The cultivators of the four top forces were also used to this. After the auction, they casually found a palace to discuss the Tao. This phoenix stage was used to fool loose cultivators who had never seen the world and to facilitate the Zhou clan's recruitment. For example, Flying Sand Loose Cultivator was very interested in the phoenix stage. After Wang Daoyuan casually looked at a few palaces, he came to the main hall in the north of the phoenix stage. The exchange meeting was held in the main hall. The Golden Core cultivators of the four top forces and several Golden Core cultivators of the Zhou clan were discussing the Tao here. Wang Daoyuan was a newly advanced Golden Core cultivator, and everyone present was his senior, so he bowed and sat at the end of the table. As the host, the Zhou clan had to take care of every guest. A peak Golden Core cultivator of the Zhou clan said with a smile, "Lei Yan Dao Yu has good eyes to take in such a good disciple. Little friend Wang reached core formation before 200 years old, and now he's already the master of a region. It's really rare. I heard that little friend Wang and Jing Yuan have a good relationship. Our two clans should get closer in the future." Wang Daoyuan secretly said, "I've already become the son-in-law of the Zhou clan. How can I get closer?" But etiquette cannot be lacking, so he exchanged some pleasantries with this peak Golden Core cultivator. These peak Golden Core cultivators, plus Taoist Lei Yan, who was half a step into Yuanying, discussed the Tao together. Wang Daoyuan's understanding of the laws was still too low, so he couldn't even interrupt and could only listen. Even so, he still benefited a lot. Half a day later, the cultivators who were touring the phoenix stage gradually returned and found a place to sit. A day later, all the cultivators were present, and the exchange meeting officially began. Two Zifu realm cultivators carried a green jade desk and placed it in the middle of the main hall. With four top forces and two first-rate forces present, the Golden Core cultivators of the other forces were somewhat restrained. The items of the major factions were always left for the last, and it was not good for them to go up directly. As the host, the Zhou family naturally couldn't let the situation turn cold. A late-stage Golden Core cultivator took out a piece of 4th-grade low-grade fire-attributed meteorite. This meteorite looked like a wooden club and weighed about 20 to 30 kilograms. It should be enough to refine 2 defensive Dharma artifacts, and it wouldn't be a problem to refine a natal Dharma artifact. This person smiled and said, "I'll throw a brick to attract jade." This meteorite is called lava meteorite iron. It was formed after a meteorite fell into a volcano and was nurtured for thousands of years. Everyone here is a discerning person, so I don't need to say more about its value. I would like to exchange it for a dozen or so jade essence cultivating pills, or sell it for 800,000 spirit stones. Naturally, it wasn't very precious. Soon, it was bought by a fire-attributed early-stage Aurus Core cultivator. He probably wanted to refine his life-bound magic artifact. With the Zhou family taking the lead, the other cultivators also took action. However, they were basically refining materials, medicinal pills, special Dharma artifacts, and the like. Flying Sand Cultivator also took out a fist-sized piece of 4th-grade low-grade heaven-suppressing stone to exchange for a low-grade 4th-grade earth-attributed material. Wang Daoyuan didn't need this thing right now, so he didn't exchange it. He didn't have many good things, so he had to keep them to exchange for spiritual plants. More than 10 Golden Core cultivators went up on stage, but he didn't make a move. Soon after, an early-stage Golden Core cultivator went up on stage. This person wasn't old, and looked to be around 400 years old. Among the Golden Core cultivators, he could be considered a young man. However, he had a death aura all over his body. His spiritual energy fluctuations were clearly that of a righteous cultivator, but this death aura was even heavier than that of an evil cultivator. He took out a small sapling that was 4 to 5 inches tall. Its branches were white jade in color, and a few clusters of needle-like leaves were green jade in color. It should be a spiritual plant like a pine tree. If it wasn't for the vitality fluctuations on this sapling, Wang Daoyuan would really think that this thing was a jade carving. The Golden Core cultivators of the small and medium-sized forces all had curious looks on their faces. Wang Daoyuan was also one of them. On the other hand, the cultivators of the large forces didn't take it seriously at all. A Golden Core cultivator of the Zhou family introduced, "This is a jade needle white jade pine. It can currently grow to 4th level superior grade. In ancient times, 5th level superior grade appeared. If the environment is suitable, it will start to bear pine cones after 5,000 years. Each time, it will bear 5 to 10 cones. The pine cones need about 2,000 years to mature, and then it needs to rest for 2,000 years before it bears fruit again. In other words, it can only be harvested once every 4,000 years. This white jade pine can increase the success rate of core formation by 20%. It is also very beneficial for the cultivation of golden core cultivators. For cultivators who don't have enough aptitude, it is still very valuable. For cultivators with 2 spiritual roots whose main spiritual roots are 8 inches and above, as long as their physical body and true essence meet the requirements, it won't be difficult for them to form their core, so they basically don't need this thing. Moreover, the current environment of Beiyuan Xueqi isn't suitable for the growth of jade needle white jade pine. It's really hard to say if it can bear pine cones. This one isn't very old, only about 1,000 years old. Hearing this, all the cultivators lost interest. For such a good thing with the potential to grow to the 5th rank, the things exchanged for definitely wouldn't be simple. Who would be willing to pay such a huge price for a living ancestor with uncertain results? The cultivator who took out the jade needle white jade pine sighed and said, "I was seriously injured by a ghost cultivator over 100 years ago, and the death aura invaded my bone marrow. If I can't get rid of this death aura, I won't live for more than 100 years. If any Dao you can help me get rid of the death aura, I am willing to repay you with jade needle white jade pine." This time, a few golden core cultivators became interested. If they could get rid of the death aura, then they could get it, so there was no harm in trying. In recent years, the spiritual aura of Beiyuan Xueqi had been slowly increasing. Maybe one day it would stabilize and bear fruit. In any case, this thing didn't take up too much space, and it could greatly increase the foundation of a cultivator. A few cultivators who cultivated healing spells stepped forward and examined the body of the cultivator surnamed Li, then shook their heads. The Netherworld sect was an expert in dealing with death aura and Yin aura, so Zhong Zhenyang also went to examine him. A moment later, he also shook his head. The death aura and the physical body are almost integrated into one, and can't be removed. Unless a huge amount of vitality is poured into the body and forcibly dispelled the death aura. I took a look and found that it would take the vitality of 500 to 600 golden core cultivators to completely dispel the death aura. If it were a large rank 4 demon beast, it would take more than 100 of them. The cultivator surnamed Li looked desperate, but Wang Daoyuan's eyes lit up. Vitality was indeed rare, but he didn't lack it. He took out the Tsong Dragon Pearl and said with a smile, "I can give it a try." Seeing the rich vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl, the cultivator surnamed Li showed hope again. The vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl was about the same as the vitality of 50 early-stage golden core cultivators. If he didn't draw vitality from the outside world and only relied on the spiritual fire of life, it would take about a year to fill the Tsong Dragon Pearl. Wang Daoyuan walked to the cultivator's side and activated the Tsong Dragon Pearl. A green light flashed, and the vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl was injected into the cultivator surnamed Li's body. Soon, the sizzling sound of corrosion came from the cultivator surnamed Li's body. Fortunately, he was a golden core cultivator and had a strong physical body. If he were below the golden core level, he would have been seriously injured. 2 hours later, the vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl was exhausted. The cultivator surnamed Li spat out a puff of black smoke and said weakly, "Thank you, Dao Yu. About 10% of the death aura in my body has been removed. I should be able to live for a few more decades. Dao Yu should be able to cure me." This jade needle white jade pine. The person who came to the auction from the Cruel Sun Palace was the Grand Elder, perfected Yen Yang. Seeing Wang Daoyuan's success, he sneered, "Li Dao Yu, don't be fooled by that brat from the Wang family. Just removing 10% of your death aura consumes so much vitality. To completely remove the death aura, you still need 9 times more vitality. Brat from the Wang family, your vitality is equivalent to the vitality of 50 golden core cultivators. Where did you get it? The demon beasts in the sky/mountain range haven't made any movements recently. Could it be that you're secretly killing ordinary people?" Chapter 543. When Master Lei Yan heard this, he angrily rebuked, "Wang Daoyuan is my in-name disciple and also my Divine Weapon Pavilion's guest elder. Are you saying that I'm blind? Or that the Divine Weapon Pavilion is hiding filth? Master Yen Yang hurriedly explained, I don't mean that, I'm just a little suspicious. Song Yen had always wanted to attack the state of Zhao. Now that there was a chance to weaken the state of Zhao, he naturally wouldn't let it go. He said in a strange tone, Dao Yang, your words are wrong. Killing mortals to obtain life force, killing tens of thousands of people, still can't compare to a golden core cultivator. Who would do that? Wang Daoyu is also a shrewd person. If he wants to kill, he'll kill loose cultivators. A Qi refinement loose cultivator's life force is comparable to several mortals. A foundation establishment loose cultivator is comparable to hundreds of mortals. I heard that there are many loose cultivators in the state of Zhao, so killing loose cultivators is more cost-effective. Wang Daoyuan had a whole new level of respect for Song Yen. He originally thought that he was an outstanding gambler who only knew how to fight head-on. He didn't expect that this guy was also an expert in scheming. His ability to fan the flames wasn't low. If Wang Daoyuan couldn't give a reasonable explanation today, everyone would suspect that he killed loose cultivators to obtain life force. Master Lei Yen coldly snorted, Everyone knows what kind of person I am. I also know where Dao Yuan's life force comes from. It's just that this involves the secret of his cultivation, so I can't easily say it. I swear on my honor that Dao Yuan definitely didn't kill cultivators to obtain life force. Master Lei Yen was famous for being upright and didn't tolerate the slightest bit of evil in his eyes. He swore on his honor that no one dared to doubt him. Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't let his master use his honor as a guarantee. Although he didn't kill anyone to obtain life force, what he cultivated wasn't all righteous either. For example, once the doppelganger soul nurturing technique was exposed, it would be difficult to explain. At that time, when the two matters were added together, there would be no place to reason. Not only would he become a devil that everyone wanted to beat, but he would also implicate his master and the Divine Weapon Pavilion's reputation. It was better to resolve this matter on the spot, so as to avoid leaving behind a source of trouble. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength and his relationship with the Divine Weapon Pavilion, no one would do anything to him even if he revealed the life spiritual fire. After all, the life spirit fire did not add much to one's battle prowess. It was not worth it to offend Venerable Lei Yen and the Divine Weapon Pavilion for such a thing. Now that he had exposed his life spiritual flame, there was a reasonable explanation for his rapid cultivation speed. Overall, the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. Thinking of this, Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands towards Master Thunderflame and said, Master, there's no need to be like this. Yen Yang Daoyu and Song Daoyu have been pressuring me. If I don't reveal my secret, I'm afraid I'll be treated as a devil in the future. Then, he raised his left hand and a ball of dark green flame appeared in his palm. Everyone's divine senses swept over. Although most people did not know the name of this wood attribute spiritual fire, the rich vitality within it could not be faked. A golden core cultivator of the Zhou clan said uncertainly, Wood-type spiritual fire? Could it be the fire of life? Little friend Wang's luck is so strong. Only high-level spirit plants on the verge of death have a very small chance of condensing such a thing. Even if it is condensed, regardless of whether the high-grade spirit plant is dead or alive, its fire of life will be extinguished. No wonder little friend Wang could cultivate so quickly despite having 5 spirit veins. It turns out that he has the help of the spiritual fire. Since Wang Daoyuan had already proven his innocence, all that was left was for Taoist Lei Yen to follow up. He released his half-step Yuanying aura and coldly snorted, Yen Yang Daoyu and Song Daoyu, do you still want to force my disciple to death? My disciple is not someone that anyone can bully. In the future, the Divine Weapon Pavilion will no longer do business with the Song clan and the Cruel Sun Palace. If anyone thinks that I, Lei Yen, am easy to bully, feel free to find trouble with Daoyuan. I won't live for long, but before I die, if anyone dares to touch my disciple, I'll let you know what a half-step Yuanying is. Several hundred years ago, Venerable Lei Yen was publicly recognized as the #1 person under the half-step Yuanying. Now that he was a half-step Yuanying, he was even stronger. Who would dare to offend him? The two were not stupid. Now that Venerable Lei Yen was angry, any explanation would only add fuel to the fire. Zhong Zhenyang and the 1,000 Spirit Sect's Venerable Yulong were gloating. Now that the Song clan and the Cruel Sun Palace were restricted by the Divine Weapon Pavilion, the pressure on the two sects was reduced. Wang Daoyuan laughed. Since I've already revealed the fire of life, there's no need to hide it anymore. Dao Yu Li is also a wood-type cultivator. I'll directly draw the fire of life into your body. When the fire of life burns your spirit energy, it will automatically produce life energy and consume death energy. If you trust me, don't resist. Cultivator Li was also heroic. He lightly laughed. I have a rotten life. If I can't get rid of the death energy, I'll still die. I believe that Venerable Lei Yan's disciple won't harm me. Just do it. Wang Daoyuan inserted the fire of life into his left hand. Dao Yu Li, protect your golden core and cultivate. Cultivator Li did as he was told, and Wang Daoyuan also continuously inserted the fire of life into his body. Sizzling sounds of corrosion could be heard from Cultivator Li's body. Black sweat began to appear on the surface of his body. Not only was there death energy in the sweat, there were also impurities accumulated from years of cultivation. While dispelling the death energy, he also cleansed his meridians and marrow. 4 hours later, there were no more sizzling sounds coming from Cultivator Li's body. The sweat on his body was no longer black. Life energy and death energy clashed violently in the body for 4 hours. Even golden core cultivators could not withstand it. Wang Daoyuan withdrew the fire of life and took out the azure dragon pearl, performing a healing technique on him. Apart from his golden core and spiritual sea, Cultivator Li's spirit energy and blood energy were all burned by the fire of life. Fortunately, his golden core was intact, so these losses could be recovered. After Wang Daoyuan's treatment, he quickly woke up. He took out a jar of spirit wine, drank a few mouthfuls, and meditated to recover his spirit energy. In half a cup of tea's time, his spirit energy was fully recovered, and some of his blood energy also recovered. He stood up and handed the jade pine tree to Wang Daoyuan. Thank you for saving me, Daoyu. I can't thank you enough. Wang Daoyuan took the sapling and put it in his Chenkuan ring, smiling. No need for that. It's a fair trade. Cultivator Li then returned to his seat. Wang Daoyuan went to the green jade desk and took out the spiritual items he had prepared in advance. There were 160 kilograms of low-grade grade 4 heaven ferocious gold and 40 kilograms of mid-grade grade 4 Tai essence gold. There were also 5 kilograms of low-grade grade 4 cloud concealment tea and 30 face retaining pills. He smiled. These are the spiritual items I prepared. Everyone knows about the heaven ferocious gold and Tai essence gold. There are also 5 kilograms of low-grade grade 4 cloud concealment tea, which is only produced in the 100 Spirits Immortals cave. There are 30 face retaining pills in these 3 bottles. I need to exchange for living grade 4 spiritual plants. Seeds are fine too. If you don't have them, you can also exchange them for golden core cultivation methods, spells, elixir, artifacts, and talisman array inheritances. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3-peak golden core cultivators of the Wind Snow Deity Palace looked at the table. Sure enough, no matter how high a woman's cultivation was, she paid great attention to her appearance. Even a peak golden core cultivator was no exception. The female cultivator in the lead asked, Little friend Wang, where did you get these face-retaining pills? Wang Daoyuan answered, Senior, I found these spiritual plants in the ancient cultivator's cave in the sky-beheading mountain range. I refined them myself. If the spiritual plants in the ancient cultivator's cave could be refined into pills, then they must be living spiritual plants. The female cultivator immediately became spirited. So, little friend Wang can continue to sell face-retaining pills? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Yes, but there aren't many face-retaining pills. I can only sell a small amount for a short period of time. The female cultivator smiled. It doesn't matter, as long as there are some. In the future, however many face-retaining pills the Wang family has, my Wind Snow Deity Palace will buy them. These 30 face-retaining pills can't be exchanged for grade 4 spiritual plants. How about I use a high-grade spirit stone to exchange for 1 face-retaining pill? Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. Originally, he took out the face-retaining pills to establish a connection with the Wind Snow Deity Palace. Now that he had achieved his goal, he could give away these 30 face-retaining pills for free. If he could exchange them for a high-grade spirit stone, it would be a great profit. Wang Daoyuan replied, I'll do as Senior says. Chapter 544. After the exchange, the golden core female cultivator gave 30 high-grade spirit stones to Wang Daoyuan and took away 3 bottles of ageless pills. Then, the 3 golden core female cultivators of the Wind Snow Deity Palace immediately divided the 3 bottles of ageless pills. Each of them held a bottle of ageless pills with a happy face. How could a peak golden core cultivator be so happy with a mere second-grade pill? He really didn't understand what they were thinking. After the exchange, a middle-stage golden core old man came forward with a 3-inch-long silver sword. He cupped his hands and said to Wang Daoyuan, "Wang Daoyu, I have a 4th-grade low-grade sword talisman here. I wonder if it can be exchanged for Tai gold essence." Wang Daoyuan took the small sword and probed it with spiritual power. He said, "This thing can indeed exert the full power of an early-stage golden core cultivator, but it's not enough for me. After using it, I still need to repair it and replenish it with spiritual power and sword intent. If there's a refining method, I can refine a few more and nurture them at the same time. It's more cost-effective to win with quantity in a battle of magical powers. If it's of a higher grade, it's also worth a lot. This 4th-grade low-grade sword talisman is really useless." The old man sighed and took out 2 more animal skin pages. "I originally wanted to exchange it for other good things, but I also urgently need Tai gold essence. This is the refining method of sword talismans. How about exchanging it for this Tai gold essence?" Wang Daoyuan took the first animal skin page and checked it carefully. Although he had never seen the refining method of sword talismans and magic talismans were both spirit talismans. Naturally, they had something in common, so it wasn't difficult to see the authenticity. Although this sword talisman was only 4th-grade low-grade, as long as he spent more time, he could still use it as a foundation to refine a 4th-grade high-grade sword talisman. He nodded and said, "This is indeed the refining method of sword talismans. This Tai gold essence is yours." The old man gave the second animal skin page and the sword talisman sample to Wang Daoyuan. Holding the Tai gold essence, he returned to his seat with satisfaction. The peak golden core cultivator in charge of the Zhou family said with a smile, "Jing Yuan brought back some 4th-grade hidden cloud tea when we explored the 100 Spirits Immortals cave abode last time. This old man also tasted some, and the taste was indeed not bad. Imperial father and Imperial brother also liked it. I'll give you 2 phoenix feather fir saplings in exchange for this 10 caddies of hidden cloud tea." Although the phoenix feather fir was a 3rd-stage upper-grade spiritual wood, its wood was hard and was suitable for refining magic tools. If one's skill in refining was high enough, it would not be difficult to refine a low-grade 4th-tier magic tool. Furthermore, it was a non-elemental spirit wood, which was suitable for refining flying warships. My Zhou clan's flying battleships use a large amount of this phoenix feather fir. If the phoenix feather fir was old enough and grew in a place rich in spiritual energy, it could also break through to the 4th stage. Little friend has refined the spiritual fire of life, so the possibility of Feng Yushan evolving has increased. This person addressed himself as Father Emperor and Imperial Brother. Then, he should be the younger brother of the current Zhou Emperor, Lord Linjiang, who held a high position in the Zhou country. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections to Lord Linjiang's suggestion. Although the Wang clan had regained its status as a golden core clan, its foundation was too weak. The only 3rd-tier materials they produced were star steel, jade bone pine, and azure cloud parasol tree. Among them, there were too few 3rd-tier jade bone pine and azure cloud parasol tree, so they could not be of much help. These were all 3rd-stage lower-grade materials. He could only buy 3rd-stage upper-grade materials from outside. This phoenix feather fir could fill the gap of 3rd-stage upper-grade materials. Naturally, he could not let it go. Compared to the phoenix feather fir, 10 caddies of hidden cloud tea was nothing. He had plenty of it in the space of the spirit pearl. He nodded and agreed. Lord Linjiang gave a look. Half an hour later, a peak Zifu realm cultivator delivered 2 phoenix feather fir saplings that were more than a foot tall. Wang Daoyuan put the 2 saplings into his yin and yang ring and gave the hidden cloud tea to Lord Linjiang. No one was interested in the last piece of heaven ferocious gold. The value of the heaven ferocious gold was not low, but it was not too high either. In the eyes of the golden core cultivators, it was not much. No one was willing to exchange precious spiritual items for it. In the end, it was bought by the imperial family of the state of Qin for 200 high-grade spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan exchanged all his spiritual items and was very satisfied with the benefits he received. He left the green jade desk and returned to his seat. The other golden core cultivators took the stage and brought forth fourth-tier materials, elixirs, and some spells. Unfortunately, Wang Daoyuan had already exchanged all the items he could. He could only look at the good items brought out by the other cultivators. Soon, the other powers finished their exchanges, leaving only the 4 top powers. Apart from the Divine Weapon Pavilion's flying warship, the items brought out by the other 3 powers were similar to what they had in the previous auction. However, a cultivator from the Archaic Arcanum sect asked Wang Daoyuan, "I heard that little friend Wang has refined the complete 5 elements Devil Suppression Seal. He must have obtained the Earth Essence. Do you have any leftover Earth Essence? My Archaic Arcanum sect is willing to purchase it at a high price." No one would believe him if he said that he had used up all the Earth Essence. He might as well admit it and answered, "I do have some leftover, but it is not enough for refining equipment. I do not intend to exchange it. My Wang clan is a small family and we only have 1 4th-tier spirit vein. I want to use the leftover Earth Essence to upgrade the grade of my spirit vein. Who knows, I might be able to add a small-scale 4th-tier spirit vein to my clan. Please forgive me." Since Shen Jiuxiao of the Archaic Arcanum sect was friends with Wang Daoyuan, this golden core cultivator did not want to become enemies with the Wang clan. "Little friend, you don't have to do this. It is human nature to do this." The exchange of the 4 powers ended quickly. Everyone left the Phoenix stage and returned to the Green Jade Pavilion. Wang Daoyuan could not return by himself. It was better to take the Zhou clan's flying warship or follow his master. Not long after the exchange ended, Zhou Jingyuan came looking for him. Wang Daoyuan looked at nephew Gu kindly and asked, "May I know why your highness has come?" Zhou Jingyuan did not answer but asked in return, "Daoyuan, why do I feel that your expression is not quite right? I often see this expression on the faces of the elders in my clan." Wang Daoyuan coughed lightly. "I have a higher seniority in the clan, so I usually interact with the younger generation. I am used to it." Although Zhou Jingyuan did not believe him, he did not pursue the matter and asked, "May I know if Daoyu Wang still has ageless pills?" Back then, when the various countries were fighting for hegemony, the Zhou clan declined and lost many things. The raw materials for ageless pills have also disappeared from the Zhou country. There are many female cultivators in the Zhou clan, and there is a great demand for ageless pills. Wang Daoyuan answered, "There are no more ready-made ageless pills, so I can only go back and refine more. We are old friends. Since you have asked, I will sell some ageless pills to Dao Yu in the future." Zhou Jingyuan smiled and said, "Thank you very much." After staying in the Qingtong Pavilion for 2 days, Wang Daoyuan bid farewell to Zhou Jingyuan. Zhou Jingyuan once again sent a flying warship to send him back. On the way, he needed to pass through the territory of the Kanyang Palace. Riding a cloud back would be troublesome, so he did not decline. Zhong Zhenyang and Yulong Zhenren also shamelessly hitched a ride. Along the way, Yulong Zhenren kept trying to get close to Wang Daoyuan. It seemed that the Thousand Spirit sect also felt a lot of pressure when Song Yan was preparing for war. Yannan County was a rising power and the Wang clan was an old vassal of the Zhao clan. The Thousand Spirit sect was really worried that Wang Daoyuan would side with the Zhao clan. When they arrived in the Zhao country, Yulong Zhenren asked, "Little friend Wang, what do you think of Song Yan?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "Song Yan is very capable, but he wants to be strong too much. He likes to take risks. This time he got a flying warship and the Divine Weapon Pavilion does not do business with the Song clan. Therefore, I think Song Yan is very likely to take risks. As for the Wuqing Pass, your sect must be prepared to not be sneak attacked by the Song clan. Otherwise, we can only fight the Song clan cultivators in the hinterland of the Zhao country." Zhong Zhenyang also deeply agreed. Yulong Zhenren nodded solemnly. Zhong Zhenyang and Yulong Zhenren disembarked at the Three River Market. Wang Daoyuan took the warship back to the Jade Spring Peak. Chapter 545. Wang Daoyuan arrived above Jade Spring Peak and discovered that the Black Tortoise water-repelling formation had been activated. The 12th uncle was meditating beside the Jade Dragon Spring. Upon seeing him return, the 12th uncle immediately deactivated the formation. Wang Daoyuan landed beside the Jade Dragon Spring and asked, "What happened to the clan while I was gone? Why are you so nervous?" The 12th uncle didn't speak directly and instead transmitted his voice. After you left, Jade Spring Peak encountered many spies. Some of them were very good at concealing themselves and I couldn't discover them. Fortunately, a senior transmitted his voice to me, so I discovered all the spies. I injured 2 Zifu realm cultivators and killed a dozen Peak Foundation establishment cultivators, so the number of spies decreased a bit. I was afraid someone would sneak in, so I activated the Great Mountain Protecting Formation. Was the senior who warned me your backup plan? Wang Daoyuan sensed the soul-devouring clone and discovered that he was hiding nearby. He nodded and said, "He should be my friend." I asked him to look after Jade Spring Peak. This is what I got from the auction. I still have some other gains that I need to deal with. Inform 5th great-uncle and 3rd brother that all the affairs of the family and the administrator's mansion can return to normal. After giving the 2 pieces of yin-yang purple jade and a piece of purple cloudwood core to the 12th uncle, he returned to his cave. After entering the cave, he smelled a familiar scent. He immediately opened all the restrictions in the cave and said with a smile, "Hallmaster, I told you not to come unless it was a last resort. Why are you still staying in my cave?" Zhou suddenly appeared and asked, "Didn't you say that black magic robe can hide from the detection of a half-step yuanying? How did you discover me?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "You didn't restrain your aura. We're already an old married couple. How can I not detect your scent?" Zhou proudly said, "The Netherworld sect, the Northern Mountain half-demon tribe, and the Green Willow province all sent people to spy on Jade Spring Peak. The 12th uncle wasn't strong enough and couldn't discover a concealed Zifu realm cultivator. If not for my reminder, Jade Spring Peak might have already been taken. I've made such a great contribution. Is there any reward?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "You are indeed my virtuous wife. It's just that the bed in my cave residence is not sturdy enough. It's not suitable to reward you here, is it?" Zhou pretended to be angry and said, "All day long you let your imagination run wild. I am asking you if you brought anything good for me when you came back from Zhou. The capital of Zhou country is the most prosperous place in Beiyuan Xiuxian. You have the intention to use the ageless pill to please the female cultivators of the Wind Snow Deity Palace. But didn't you think of bringing back something new for me?" Wang Daoyuan had a strange expression on his face. Can't your intelligence agency investigate something serious? All he did was stare at these trivial matters. I was doing business with the Wind Snow Deity Palace. What do you mean by pleasing them? After saying this, he took out the jade slip he got from his master. I got this from my master. It contains his experience on condensing spiritual fire with his divine ability. Zhou face lit up. At least you have a conscience and didn't forget about me. Does master know about me? Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, Master is a half-step into the Yuanying realm. How could I hide it from him? When we met, he saw that my primordial yang was gone. I only told him that you are from the Zhou clan and that you have a small fire-type divine ability. I didn't tell him that you are the Blood Shadow Division's master and even asked for this secret technique for you. Master urged me to give him a grand disciple as soon as possible. Why don't we hurry up? Zhou Wan rolled her eyes at him. Since you are back, I don't need to stay here to look after the house anymore. I will go back to the north of the mountain to practice the secret technique. The spiritual qi in Jade Spring Peak is too dense. I don't feel comfortable staying here. After I finish dealing with the affairs at the administrator's residence, I will come back to the north of the mountain as soon as possible. After saying this, Zhou Wan hid her figure and left Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan controlled the devouring spirit and accompanied Zhou Wan back to the north of the mountain market. After that, he stored the jade needles, white jade pine, and phoenix feather fur into the space of his spiritual pearl and planted them near the life spiritual fire. The scarlet blood ginseng, bloody worry, and muscle-growing grass that were originally planted near the dust-returning flame were all uprooted. 2 acres of empty land were cleared and the seeds of the purple cloud wood were planted. The pure yin and yang qi produced by the Gui water death flame and the scarlet yang true fire condensed purple qi near the dust-returning flame. Although it wasn't much, the purple qi was present all the time. The purple cloud would continuously absorb the purple qi. It was easier for it to grow a purple cloudwood core than the purple cloudwood that grew in the outside world. In the outside world, under suitable conditions and no one disturbed it, the purple cloudwood would need over 10,000 years to grow a purple cloudwood core. The four top forces all set up great formations in suitable places and used all kinds of methods to let the purple cloud would absorb more purple chi. Even so, the purple cloud would need more than 3,000 years to grow a purple cloud wood core. Wang Daoyuan did not have the ability to set up those great formations, but with enough purple chi, the speed at which the purple cloud wood core was formed might be faster. There was no need to keep the 1 acre of green jade bamboo in the space of his spiritual pearl. In these years, he had not used it to refine weapons and had used it to eat bamboo shoots. It was enough to keep a few stalks of bamboo shoots. The space was cleared to plant the face-preserving elixirs. He could not take out too many face-preserving elixirs in a short period of time. 1 acre was enough. After dealing with the matters of the spiritual pearl, he began to study the sword talisman that he had exchanged. According to the records of the refining method, this sword talisman was called the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman. Once activated, the small silver sword would release 108 sword phantoms, sealing off an area of space. The sword phantoms would continuously release sword chi to attack the target in the space. This Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison was a sword formation type spell. If combined with a level 4 magic weapon longsword, its power would be considerable. With the refining method, it was possible to restore the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison spell. He would improve it so that it could be used together with the Sword Shadow Divine Light technique. At that time, he would have another powerful killing move. The Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison cast by the Sword Talisman was just a sword phantoms condensed by the Sword Talisman. Its power was not much. Combined with his White Tiger Sword intent, it would not be difficult to kill an early-stage Golden Core cultivator like Gu Wangzong. But against an early-stage Golden Core cultivator with a small magical power, it was completely useless. If Wang Daoyuan himself was trapped in the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison, a full blow of the White Tiger Blade would be able to break the sword prison. When the Sword Talisman was filled with spiritual power and sword intent, it could be used 3 times. This was enough to kill 3 early-stage Golden Core cultivators at Gu Wangzong's level, and it could be used repeatedly. Wang Daoyuan himself did not need it, but it was excellent to leave it as a trump card for his clansmen. In the future, when his talisman level reached the upper middle grade of level 4, he could also deduce the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman. However, the material requirements for this Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman were also very high. It required level 4 refining materials, such as Tai Gold and Heaven Ferocious Gold. The difficulty of refining it was not inferior to a magic weapon of the same level, or even higher. Wang Daoyuan was now mainly practicing arrays, striving to become a level 4 array master as soon as possible, and set up the water-returning origin array. The matter of refining the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman had to be arranged later. The current one would be nurtured first and left for the 12th uncle as a trump card of the clan. After staying in the cave for half a month, the Jade Needle, White Jade Pine and Phoenix Feather Fur in the space of the Spirit Pearl were already stable and had begun to grow. It was just that these days, the space of the Spirit Pearl was not very stable, and the spiritual energy was flowing rapidly. At first, he did not take it seriously, but now it was getting more and more intense. The purple-gray mist outside the space was not as stable as usual, and it was constantly rolling. Wang Daoyuan's soul entered it and actually felt a trace of threat, as if a disaster was coming. When his soul left the space of the Spirit Pearl, he did not feel anything at all. This feeling was only felt in the space of the Spirit Pearl, and it was not targeted at him. His divine sense carefully explored the changes in the space, and found that the spiritual energy was surging in the direction of the red-feathered crow. That guy had been sleeping for a long time, and now its wings were half open, sleeping on the red yang true fire. However, the spiritual energy fluctuation on its body was getting stronger and stronger, and it was infinitely close to a level 4 spiritual bird. Could it be that this guy was going to pass the heavenly tribulation in the space of the Spirit Pearl? Chapter 546. The space of the spiritual pearl was equivalent to a special secret realm. The secret realm was a subsidiary of the big world. If a heavenly tribulation appeared, its power would be no different from the outside world. However, the average Golden Core cultivator's tribulation cloud would have a diameter of more than 10 miles. The Red-Winged Crow had the bloodline of the Golden Crow, and it also had the natal true fire. Its tribulation cloud would definitely be bigger. However, the space in the spiritual pearl was only so big. No matter what, it couldn't contain more than 5 kilometers of tribulation clouds. It was hard to say what the heavenly tribulation in the spiritual pearl space would be like. Spiritual plants and spiritual fires were things without spiritual intelligence, so the heavenly tribulation in the outside world wouldn't affect them. It should be the same in the space. However, he had to take both his clone and his spirit beast out of the spiritual pearl space. Otherwise, the heavenly tribulation would be aggravated and he would lose his life. He didn't dare to take the red-feathered crow out of the spirit pearl space and take it somewhere else to pass the tribulation. There was no rank 4 fire attribute spirit vein near the Jade Spring Peak, and the red-wing crow's heavenly tribulation could descend at any time. Once he took out the spiritual orb space, tribulation clouds could appear at any time. At that time, the fact that he had fooled the major forces would be completely exposed. It was better to let the red-feathered crow go through the tribulation in the spirit pearl space. After the tribulation, the gift of the world would be very beneficial to the growth of the spirit pearl space. After 3 days outside the space, the red-feathered crow woke up. At this time, its spiritual energy fluctuation had already reached the 4th level of low grade. About 100 feet above the red-feathered crow, a golden core illusory figure with a diameter of about 8 inches appeared. This golden core shadow was not much different from the golden core of a human cultivator. It was just that there was a vague pattern on the shadow that looked like a bird, but it was not very clear. Not long after the shadow of the Jindan fell, black clouds began to appear at the top of the space of the spirit pearl. Wang Daoyuan immediately put the avatar and all the other living creatures into the 100 spirits ring and brought them out of the space. He didn't dare to let his soul enter the space of the spiritual pearl. He could only enter the space between the outer shell of the spiritual pearl and the space to observe the situation. He left a few blood essence heaven reversal pills for the red-feathered crows. It was a healing pill that was suitable for humans. It might not be suitable for spirit beasts, but it would still be useful. As for the pills to restore spiritual power, there was no need for him to do anything. The Scarlet Yang Real Fire was right next to him. If he didn't have enough spiritual power, it would be enough to extract some spiritual fire essence from it. The space of the spiritual pearl, which had an area of about 40 mu, was quickly filled by the black clouds. Soon, the black clouds began to shrink. It shrank to a diameter of about 10 feet and continued to expand. Once again, it filled up the space in the spirit orb and then shrank again. After tossing and turning for more than 2 hours, it finally stopped expanding. At this time, the black cloud was like a piece of black charcoal with a diameter of 10 feet, hanging in the air right above the red-feathered crow. The red-feathered crow didn't dodge, and stayed right next to the red Yang Real Fire. Before spirit beasts transformed, they were completely unable to use magic artifacts and could only rely on brute force to transcend the tribulation. Wang Daoyuan couldn't help even if he wanted to. Whether or not he could survive the heavenly tribulation would depend on his luck. Soon, the first tribulation lightning struck. The first 9 heavenly tribulations of spirit beasts were no different from those of humans. They were all very ordinary heavenly tribulations. After 9 heavenly tribulations, there would be a bloodline heavenly tribulation similar to the minor divine ability tribulations of humans. Once the bloodline heavenly tribulation was passed, the purity of the high-level demonic beast or divine beast bloodline would increase. As for how much it would improve, it would depend on one's luck. The ancestors' dragonfish's bloodline purity had greatly increased during the heavenly tribulation, allowing it to grow a nearly perfect dragon head. If the jade-scaled flood dragon he had killed before survived the heavenly tribulation, its claws might grow a 4th finger. Of course, no matter how great the luck was, it wouldn't directly transform into a divine beast. The red-feathered crow had never fought before. Wang Daoyuan was worried that it didn't know any spells and couldn't withstand the heavenly tribulation. He didn't expect it to have so many tricks up its sleeves. When the first heavenly tribulation struck, it directly dispersed it with its claws. Its actions were clean and neat. It didn't seem like a rookie who had never fought before. Instead, it seemed like an expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. This was most likely a bloodline inheritance. Divine beasts didn't reproduce as quickly as humans, and they didn't have unlimited room for growth. However, they had their own unique advantages, and bloodline inheritance was one of them. They could obtain the inheritance of their ancestors from their bloodline, as well as some combat skills. The first 6 heavenly tribulations didn't affect it at all. They didn't even touch its hair before they were all shattered. After 15 minutes, the purple heavenly tribulation lightning struck. The red-feathered crow was no longer relaxed. Its wings were burning with golden flames. It flapped its wings fiercely, and a golden fireball with a diameter of 5 inches appeared in front of it. The fireball flew toward the purple heavenly tribulation lightning. The purple heavenly tribulation lightning was shattered by the fireball, but the fireball didn't completely shatter. It had only shrunk a lot, and its diameter was still about 1 inch. The red-feathered crow didn't wait for the next heavenly tribulation to strike. It spat out flames from its mouth and merged them with the fireball. The golden fireball quickly expanded, and its diameter soon reached more than 1 foot. The 8th heavenly tribulation lightning struck the fireball. This time, the fireball was directly shattered, and the power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was only about 10% left. It hit the red-feathered crow's body and was forcefully resisted. After all, the red-feathered crow had the bloodline of a divine beast, and its body was extremely strong. This little bit of power was nothing to it. It only lost a few hairs, and didn't cause much damage. Before the 9th heavenly tribulation lightning struck, the red-feathered crow started to prepare. This time, it didn't condense a fireball. Instead, it burned its whole body with golden flames. Soon, the red-feathered crow turned into a 3-meter-wide fireball. After 10 seconds, the 9th heavenly tribulation lightning struck. A bucket-thick purple heavenly tribulation lightning struck from the dark clouds toward the red-feathered crow's fireball. This was a head-on collision. The flames on the red-feathered crow's body were instantly extinguished, and the power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was reduced by more than half. However, the remaining power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was still not to be underestimated. Most of the hairs on the red-feathered crow's body were scattered, revealing a large part of its skin. However, its wings and tail were unharmed. This time, the red-feathered crow was heavily injured, but it wasn't to the point where it couldn't get up. It swallowed the pill and lay on the ground to refine it. At this moment, the dark clouds above didn't seem to have changed at all. It still looked like a piece of black coal. After 15 minutes, a bird's cry came from the sky. It sounded like a crow's cry, but it wasn't hoarse. Instead, it had a sacred and inviolable feeling. Hearing this cry, the red-feathered crow trembled. Then, a divine bird with a 3-meter-wide wingspan descended from the dark clouds. This divine bird looked like a crow, and it had 3 golden claws. Its feathers were mostly black, but there were golden stripes around its eyes, spreading to its wings and tail. The feathers on its tail and wings were all golden. This should be the legendary golden crow. Although this golden crow's strength was only at the mid-4th stage, the aura it emitted was no different from the real golden crow. After all, the red-feathered crow's bloodline wasn't pure, so it was still afraid of the divine bird's aura. The tribulation golden crow pounced on it. The blood essence sky-restoring pill it had eaten before had also taken effect. Its injuries had healed 80 to 90%, and it didn't affect its strength much. The red-feathered crow pounced on the tribulation golden crow, and the 2 birds fought. However, the tribulation golden crow wasn't easy to deal with. It was stronger and suppressed by the divine aura. The red-feathered crow was completely at a disadvantage, and its bloody feathers kept falling. After 15 minutes, the red-feathered crow was covered in wounds and had almost no strength to resist. However, the tribulation golden crow still didn't give up and kept attacking it. The red-feathered crow let out a mournful cry, and the golden life feather on its tail burned, emitting a rich pure yang qi. Soon, the red-feathered crow's body was burning. The red-feathered crow didn't look like a fireball now, but more like a golden sun. Its aura kept increasing, and its speed became extremely fast. Gradually, it was able to compete with the tribulation golden crow. This should be the red-feathered crow's minor magical power. It could turn into a sun and increase its strength in all aspects. Then, the tribulation golden crow also turned into a golden sun, and collided with the golden sun. After a while, the 2 suns dissipated at the same time. The red-feathered crow was turned into a piece of coal, and its body was still burning with golden flames. The tribulation's aura disappeared, but the dark clouds didn't dissipate. Wang Daoyuan checked the red-feathered crow with his divine sense. It was still alive, so it was definitely still alive. He was relieved. The red-feathered crow had succeeded in transcending the tribulation. Chapter 547. The red-feathered crow's life force was still quite strong. There was no risk of it dying, so there was no need to treat it. As for the golden flames on its body, they were quickly extinguished. This flame was extremely extraordinary. It should be the true sun fire. Wang Daoyuan wanted to save it, but he didn't succeed. Then, he put the 100 spirit ring into the space of the spirit pearl and released his doppelganger and other living creatures. The red-feathered crow's tribulation was not weak. There were also many gifts from heaven and earth. It couldn't absorb all of them by itself, so other spirit beasts could also benefit. Wang Daoyuan also called Yun Yi into his cave residence and put it into the space of the spirit pearl. This guy had eaten a lot of bloodline pills and had reached the limit of a second-rank spirit beast. Now that there were gifts from heaven and earth, it might take the opportunity to break through. The tribulation cloud had been compressed many times. After the 9 tribulations and the bloodline tribulation, it was still as black as ink. It was impossible to see how much was left. Now that the tribulation was over and the red-feathered crow was still alive, the tribulation cloud began to turn golden. Moreover, the entire tribulation cloud gradually became bigger and soon covered the entire space of the spirit pearl. Wang Daoyuan's soul also entered it. The gifts from heaven and earth were also beneficial to the soul. After a few minutes, the tribulation cloud turned completely golden. Countless golden raindrops fell from the golden cloud. After the raindrops left the golden cloud, they all flew towards the red-feathered crow. With the nourishment of the golden raindrops, the red-feathered crow's life force rapidly increased. Soon, it turned from a piece of coal into a bald bird. The golden raindrops continued to fall, and the red-feathered crow's life force continued to grow. After a while, black fur began to grow on its body. It was like a chick that had just come out of its shell. Then, feathers grew from the black fur. The feathers on its body were all black. The feathers on its 2 wings also turned from pure gold to black. Only the long feathers were still pure gold. The tail feathers were still pure gold. Only the life feathers were completely golden. Near the eyes on its head, there were golden stripes. It was very similar to the head of the heavenly tribulation golden crow. The wings were 3 meters long. The bloodline tribulation significantly increased the purity of the red-feathered crow's bloodline. It became more like a pure-blooded golden crow. After a few minutes, the red-feathered crow woke up. Its breath also stabilized. The golden raindrops no longer all drifted to it. The other things in the space also began to be nourished. After an hour, the golden raindrops gradually weakened and disappeared. The gift of heaven and earth lasted for more than an hour. Although it was not as long as Wang Daoyuan, it was still far better than the average golden core cultivator. The phase in the spatial zone had also obtained a lot of benefits, and the 5 spirit veins had finally entered Tier 4 medial grade. The 5 spiritual fires had also become upper grade stage 3 spiritual fires. Among them, the life spiritual fire was the strongest and was not far from becoming a stage 4 spiritual fire. The scarlet sun primordial flame also changed a little when the scarlet feather crow fought with the heavenly tribulation golden crow. The golden flames of the heavenly tribulation golden crow splashed everywhere, and the red yang primordial fire also absorbed a lot of it. Previously, the scarlet yang primordial fire was red with a hint of gold. It was mainly red, with very little gold. Now that it was half red and half gold, the pure yang qi produced was also significantly stronger. There were no obvious changes to the spiritual plants and spiritual beasts, but the blood fire hibiscus was an exception. Previously, the golden flames of the heavenly tribulation golden crow had also splashed onto the blood fire hibiscus, and their spiritual power fluctuations had clearly increased. The largest blood fire hibiscus had just broken through to Tier 4 inferior grade not long ago, and now it was close to Tier 4 medial grade. Fat Tiger Yun Yi's body was close to 30 meters. It had absorbed a lot of golden raindrops just now and had fallen into a deep sleep. It might be about to break through to Tier 3. Wang Daoyuan controlled his clone to carry it to the empty space near the life spiritual fire and let it slowly sleep here. After the heaven and earth bestowment ended, the scarlet feather crow spread its wings and flew up, its body burning with reddish gold flames. Its life spiritual fire was originally mainly red with very little gold, but now, the gold in the flames was slightly more than the red. The flames enveloped its entire body, and soon, the outline of the scarlet feather crow could not be seen. Only a reddish gold sun could be seen, emitting a dazzling light that illuminated the entire space of the spirit pearl. This reddish gold sun really felt like the sun of the outside world. The main divine power of the Golden Crow race was the sun primordial fire. This method of using the sun primordial fire to transform into a sun was also considered a divine power that used the sun primordial fire. It was called the blazing sun. It could increase one's strength in all aspects and was the main method to fight enemies. After all, the soul was still stronger than the soul, but it still did not like the reddish gold light and immediately left the space of the spirit pearl. If evil cultivators or ghost cultivators who cultivated Yin Qi encountered this blazing sun divine power, they would not be able to unleash half of their strength. If they were weak, they would be directly turned into ashes. However, the spiritual plants in the spirit pearl space rather liked this light. Under the light, their growth was even better. Of course, the yellow spring willow was an exception. After 15 minutes, the scarlet feather crow retracted the flames into its body and the light disappeared. It landed on the highest branch of the bloodfire hibiscus tree, and opened its mouth to let out a crow-like cry. Wang Daoyuan controlled his clone to talk to it. The scarlet feather crow could only let out a cry and could not speak human language. It seemed that for a spiritual bird to speak human language, it had to pass the transformation heavenly tribulation. After it passed the tribulation, it needed to properly comprehend its realm. Wang Daoyuan did not disturb it and cultivated array formations in his cave abode. A few days later, Zhou Wan sent him a message saying that there was important news. His panoramic perception clone, Lu Zong, came to Zhou Wan's cave abode and asked her, "Lord Hallmaster, what happened?" Zhou Wan replied, "I have planted spies in the Silver Fox and White Fox tribes. In the past few days, these half-demon tribes heard that nearby demon beasts had fled. After a few tribes investigated, they found out that there were new movements of the refined corpses in the Mirror Treasure Lake Oasis. 1 mid-grade level 4 refined corpse and 3 low-grade level 4 refined corpses left the secret realm and headed towards the east, entering the sky/mountain range. Previously, these refined corpses moved at night and would not leave the secret realm for too long. Once the sun came out, they would return to the secret realm. But now, these 4 refined corpses have been outside for 3 days and still have not returned to the secret realm." Wang Daoyuan asked, "Did the half-demon tribes grasp their specific movements?" Zhou Wan shook her head. No, the half-demon tribes only heard that these 4 refined corpses attacked a few demon beasts living at the edge of the sky/mountain range. Thus, the nearby demon beasts all fled. Now, they should be continuing to go deeper into the sky/mountain range. No one knows the specific situation. It is hard to say what will happen in the future. If they are blocked by the sky/mountain range and turn south, then the family's business in Fallen Dragon Ridge will be in danger. After receiving this news, Wang Daoyuan was stunned. 4 level 4 refined corpses, and 1 was mid-grade level 4. If these guys stayed together, it would be hard to deal with them. A level 4 demon beast could not take them down. Refined corpses had strong bodies and did not have souls, so they had almost no weaknesses. Unless they were restrained by lightning and fire laws, the 4 refined corpses could run rampant among demon beasts. Fortunately, the level 4 refined corpses did not appear. He could still deal with mid-grade level 4 refined corpses. Even if they reached the south of the mountain, he would not be helpless. Wang Daoyuan controlled his clone and said, "Lord Hallmaster, immediately hand black magic robe to Devouring Spirit and ask him to bring it to me. Once these refined corpses threaten the family's business, I will dare to go deep into the sky/mountain range to stop them with black magic robe." Then, he controlled Devouring Spirit to go to Zhou Wan's cave abode. After taking the black magic robe, he left the underground branch and headed for Jade Spring Peak. After Wang Daoyuan obtained the black magic robe, he sent Devouring Spirit out and let him enter the sky/mountain range to monitor the 4 refined corpses and the nearby demon beasts. If these 4 guys wantonly killed demon beasts in the sky/mountain range, the demon beasts would flee and it might cause a chain reaction that would lead to a beast tide. South Yen County might also be attacked, and the family's business and clansmen would suffer heavy losses. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.